everybody? Welcome to PSI Love You XOXO episode 25. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the new face of video games, Blessing Adeoye Jr.
What's up, Greg?
Nothing. Now, here's what I want you to know. Barrett Courtney is running the show today. Barrett Courtney has been nervous because I don't know if you know this about Barrett Courtney. Barrett Courtney is always nervous. And so I saw Barrett when the live thing was going. It said no sound. Did the intro have sound for the YouTube recording, or do we need to do that again?
I think it was you guys popped up before the intro was playing for like a minute.
Okay.
And you guys were muted, so I think they were talking about that. But I'm pretty sure the intro did play.
Beautiful. That's all I care about.
This is my first time doing like full production stuff in a very long time, so I'm figuring it all out.
Barrett, I don't know if you know this. Kevin's never fucked anything up, so you should think
I know.
twice.
I have a very
Kevin
high bar.
Kevin has a very clean record. It's
Yeah,
actually very surprising that Kevin's able to come through day after day after day and just like hit everything perfect.
Perfect. He's pitching perfect games left and right out there.
Yeah.
Blessing. And Barrett, since you're on the ones and twos, I want your input too here. We have a very important question. All right. It was written in to patreon.com/kindafunnygames, just like you can, to be part of PSI Love You XOXO. And Joey Noel says, hey guys, big fan and first time writing in. If you were a character in Bug Snacks, what kind of snack would you be? I think I would want curly fry arms or fruit by the foot legs. Love, Joey.
Bug Snacks.
Talking about
a deep question. This is a very good question.
Well, of course, everyone knows from the PS5 event, Bug Snacks, one of the PlayStation 5 console exclusive games coming out.
One of the biggest games coming to PS5.
You see these bugs, and they're also snacks. So if you see like a strawberry, which says strawberry, and it's walking around, you eat it, you get strawberry hands. We've seen hot dog hands. We've seen curly fry hands. There was a hamburger, I think, at one point called something funny.
Yes.
What's the hamburger called? Bunger is what the burger is called.
Was that an exclusive
like
reveal?
Burger and Hunger put together?
Was that an exclusive scoop? I think so. Yeah. Hey, Pop Agenda, what other exclusive bug snack scoops can you give us?
Strawberry is actually called a Strabby.
Strabby, not a strawberry. A Strabby. Is it a strawberry though?
Yeah.
But it calls itself a Strabby.
Yeah.
Does it know it's wrong?
They all have pun
They all have pun names.
names.
Strabby is a pun.
How?
I think because they're actual bugs. Wait, how's Strabby a pun?
What's the pun?
It's not. How's
Strabby?
Bunger? It's just mispronunciations of words. That's not a
Bunger
pun.
is like burger and Hunger.
Oh, Burger and Hunger. I like that.
That one I get, but
that's
Strabby is a weird one. I'm not on board with that one just yet.
Because these aren't the actual. Let's keep in mind these aren't the actual fruits. These are the bug version of these snacks. They're
Correct. Yeah. So it's not a strawberry that is a bug. It is a bug that looks like a strawberry and probably tastes like a strawberry.
Yes, it's a strawberry.
I think that checks out. PR's not trying to tell us any information on that one. I think obviously I'd have chicken wing hands. I'd have little drummy hands.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, would it make sense to have? I feel like it'd make more sense to have like drumsticks for legs. You know,
Shit,
I feel like
fuck,
we gotta get
that's
more
a good-
creative because
that's a
I
really
feel
good
like everybody's gonna go for the arms and for the hands with like.
we know so little about Bug Snacks. You know what I mean? It has swept the world by storm. It's the song everybody can't stop singing weeks after the PlayStation event. But we still know so little about what looks to be a completely nonsense game.
That's true.
Completely fucking nonsense game that makes no sense. And so, yeah, even being a bungie, if I eat the bungie, do my hands turn into the bunger? If I eat a bunger, do my hands turn into the bung? Can anything
Does it always start from the hands?
Yeah, sorry. Blessing from kindafunny.com is asking Pop Agenda, who represents Bug Snacks, is it always the hands? Watch the trailer. Wow, PR is not having it today. Jeez, you know what I mean? Jeez Louise. What would you want to be, Wes?
I'm going Cheetos. I'm going Cheeto fingers. I think because Cheetos, some of my favorite snacks, specifically hot Cheetos fries. I think hot Cheetos fries are amazing. Hot Cheetos puffs. I feel like hot Cheetos puffs don't get enough credit.
Sure.
I love those. But yeah, I'm gonna go with like puffy Cheeto hands, puffy Cheeto fingers.
Okay. What about when they get wet and they dissolve into nothing?
I mean, that's
I guess you go eat more then.
I guess you eat more. I feel like that's a problem with any of the foods you eat. You know, like, and that's why I'm very excited to watch to play this game because I'm very curious to see like where things go because you see the more and more they eat, the more and more they turn into snack. And if that's the case, then like at what point does it like does the gameplay change because now you're fully snack and no more.
When do I become the bug snack? Right, I'm eating the bug snacks and getting their attributes. At some point, I'm just going to become at some point a bungie. was in fact a person.
Maybe
And-
that's
I mean, we
the-
saw the amalgamation at the end of the trailer, and like,
But the way they made that look is like it was a monster on the island. You think we become that monster? That's what happens?
maybe that's the commentary,
yeah.
guys. Maybe.
Wow.
because how else does that thing get made unless they used to be, I guess, a hippo. What was the main guy?
Walrus.
We saw
The
was
main-
it walrus?
It's a walrus, yeah.
Yeah, so like he probably started off as like a walrus or a hippo
Sure,
or whatever
sure.
kind of creature, and just kept
He's a
kept-
hippo who ate a walrus, and then that became his
Yeah.
back form of walrus.
exactly, and then he just
Or
kept
the pun
he just kept
walry.
eating. I don't get that pun at all. Like a walrus.
None of them make sense. None of these puns in quotes make
It's
sense.
not a pun. None of these
No.
are puns. Like none of these are puns.
No. I don't know. Barrett, what do you want to be?
This is a difficult one because, like, my favorite food, pizza, obviously. But then,
Sure.
if I eat pizza and then I don't know if we have control of what body part the snack takes place of,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, I would ask PR, but she's just going to tell you to watch the trailer. So hold on.
Exactly. And so I get worried if a body part of mine gets turned into one of my favorite foods, pizza. Am I going to be tempted to eat myself?
Of course.
Pizza dick.
And
Pizza
and
dick?
so I don't know if I would want to go with pizza. Like maybe I go the opposite route and try to eat things that I turn into that I wouldn't want to eat.
Oh,
So
fuck.
I'm prevented from wanting to eat myself out of
Now-
existence.
Well, it's like Pizza the Hut, right? In Spaceballs.
Yeah,
When they do
exactly.
that for a second. I'm going to slow down my playback speed here, right, to 0.25.
I'm also
'cause,
watching
yeah,
it.
well, if you go to the 59-second mark, we see the mayor eating food. And it looks like he ate either strawberries or
Oh.
tomatoes to get hands, but then they go to his feet. But then if you play just a little bit further, he ate a bucket, I guess. Well, he has a tomato nose, and then he's wearing a bucket on top of his head. Maybe it's a ketchup thing. Then his whole body becomes a potato.
He's a
Then he
watermelon.
spins around. He becomes a chocolate chip cookie, maybe, and a donut nose, and ice cream scoop legs. And then, okay,
I
pause
cannot
it
wait.
here. 101, he's a watermelon body,
Yes.
cantaloupe arms, apple slice fingers.
There's like a pineapple hair.
He's got a pineapple thing
thing
going
going
on. Wow, you really changed my opinion of this game, Bless. Because and then he's the next one. Oh, there it is. We got a bungie on top of this guy's head. 101. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Pickle hands. I go for pickle hand right now.
But I feel like it always starts from the hands though. As far as what I'm
does.
saying.
I do feel like it always starts from the hands. So yeah, do we have choice ever? Of like, I'm looking right now as I click through it. I should have watched this entire trailer in slow mo. Look at this, because the mayor's rolling a donut into a thing, and then the mayor fell down. That's weird. Now we got a submarine sandwich caterpillar.
Okay.
Also, real
Yeah.
quick too, Jen and I were talking about this the other day. Hoagie, grinder, submarine sandwich, hero. This is all just regional, right? We're always talking about a sub sandwich, right? Is there a difference?
Oh, you're asking the wrong person. I do not have sandwich knowledge like that. But all the words you just said sound like similar things to me.
You know what
I've-
you're gonna get, right?
I've heard the term hoagie so many times that I've never actually asked what it is, and at this point, I'm too scared to really know what a hoagie is.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I think it was like. Let's Google that too. I guess, man. We're getting.
Yeah, because I'm looking up a picture of a hero sandwich, and
Hoagie.
it looks like it's just a sub.
Yeah, hoagie says Wikipedia. It's hoagie redirects to submarine sandwich. A submarine sandwich, also known as a sub, hoagie, hero, or grinder, is a type of
Yes.
sandwich consisting of length of bread or roll split lengthwise, filled with a variety. Okay, cool. So that's taken care of. But bug snacks, I do now. I cannot tell you. Do I have to eat things in a certain order? Right. That's the thing. Let's say I want the watermelon body. Do I have to eat it at a very specific point to have it instead of
Yeah.
watermelon hands?
Yeah, because it seems like, because I'm at the end of the trailer where the walrus guy, he has the strawberry arm, he has the strawberry right arm, eats the sandwich, that then becomes his left arm, and so it seems like it starts from there, then it goes to the legs, then it does go to the full body, and so like it's the fifth thing you eat that's going to become your body, and so if you want watermelon body, you just got to wait and eat it after eating 4 other things.
Huh.
Very exciting game this is. I'm really
I
looking
mean,
forward
there's
to
a
it.
lot of layers to it that I was not expecting.
Yeah, we never really actually we've been talking a lot about bug snacks, but we haven't actually been like talking a lot about bug snacks. And like the more you talk about it, the more I'm like, yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Well, if you
Yeah.
remember, of course, the song does say talking about bug snacks.
Oh, snap.
So
Yeah.
it's like it knew what was going to happen. It's calling the shot here, kind of thing. Big question, I guess, Blessing, of course, is that
Mhm.
now this is now bug snacks. I love you, XOXO, by the way. Bug snacks. sweeping the world by storm. Everyone talking about it. Everybody's singing it. People making covers. Then people writing. Push Square wrote an article about Andy's cover of the Bugsnax song. What do you think the Metacritic on Bugsnax is going to be? What do you think of it? Is this one if you hadn't blown $96 on Miles Morales in the freaking PS I Love You fantasy draft, would you have tried to get Bugsnax?
I'm gonna be honest. I have been considering Bugsnax just a little bit, and I'm looking up Octodad right now on Metacritic.
Octodad on Metacritic right now is a 69. Nice.
Okay. Yes. And here's the thing. Octodad came out in a different time, which I think makes this conversation very interesting because Octodad came out in like 2014. And so if we're talking about a game from the same creator of Octodad that has a similar level of quirkiness and charm that is coming out as a launch window title for the PS5.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. I'm honestly probably in the 70s. That's kind of where I'm at. You know? Like I feel like this could work, with the right kind of people, but I don't know if this is gonna like blow any. If I'm giving my serious answer, I don't know if this game's blowing anybody away. I don't know if this is like a go-to game for my fantasy draft.
Yeah, sure. And that's what's interesting about it. And I think comparing it to Octodad is an interesting one, right? Because Octodad had a similar thing, great song, if you remember. And everybody was behind it, and everybody thought it was totally quirky and crazy, coming out of PAXs and stuff playing it. But it was that thing of getting it home and then getting frustrated with the controls because, of course, you were an octopus trying to blend in as a human. So they had you stumbling all over the place and bumping into things and having trouble just walking down the aisle, right? Mm-hmm. That worked for it at a PAX or a showcase or something you wanted to screw around with your friends. But I think when you got home and you wanted to review it and put a critical score to it, that was a different thing. Whereas Bugsnax, I would assume, is going to control normally. I am a person walking around getting my strawberry hands. Once I get them, can I walk? Can I still pick things up?
What do you think the gameplay of Bugsnax is, though?
That is a great question. That is a great question.
Around, but like,
what the fuck is the gameplay of Bugsnax? That's a great question. Have they said anything on the record, Bob Agenda?
Well,
not yet.
I have a question for Jen. What is they started tweeting out inspirations for Bugsnax on Twitter last week. What is the Twitter? What's she saying back there?
She's now yelling at us to read the website. You know what I mean? Like, I got time for that. Like, I got time to. Well, no, we're having fun. This is how conversations organically happen.
Can Jen tell me the Twitters of the people that are directing the game?
Yeah, you want that right now?
Maybe message it to me. I don't know. Because
text blessing the Twitters of the people making this game.
Young horses.
She's just saying young horses. She's not going to give you any directors.
Yeah, but I need names because from their actual Twitter accounts, they were tweeting out inspirations. They're saying that the game takes inspiration from Dark Cloud. The game takes inspiration from. I think I saw BioShock in there and like Viva Pinata.
Oh, I do remember that. I do remember that.
And I feel like we can gauge a little bit. Like, all right, what is this game? From the inspirations that they're pulling.
She said for me to read the fact sheet. I'm opening up the press kit. Here's the fact sheet. Bugsnax takes you on a whimsical adventure to Snacktooth Island, home of the legendary half-bug, half-snack creatures Bugsnax. Invited by intrepid explorer Elizabeth Megafig, you arrive to discover your host nowhere to be found, her camp in shambles, and her followers scattered across the island alone and hungry. It's up to you to solve the mysteries of Snacktooth Island. What happened to Lizbert? What are Bugsnax and where do they come from? But most of all, why do they taste, and then in all caps, so good?
I don't know what any of that means.
Nobody knows what it means. It's a fever dream. Features: discover and hunt and capture all 100 different species of Bugsnax using a variety of contraptions and bait. Explore the diverse biomes of Snacktooth Island and track down and reunite the inhabitants of Snackburg. Follow every lead to learn more about Lizbert's band of misfits and the mysteries of Snacktooth Island. Stuff your new friends with Bugsnax to customize them with countless new looks. And then the screenshot is just Bugsnax.
So a programmer / producer at Young Horses who develops Bugsnax tweeted this last week about his personal inspirations, right? He just tweeted 4 images of 4 different games that were the inspirations for him for the development of the Bugsnax. It goes Viva Pinata, Ape Escape, Pokemon Snap, and Dark Cloud. 4 games that have nothing to do with each other, which makes me very excited to see like what kind of like Dragon Ball Z fusion dance these games did to give birth to whatever the actual gameplay of Bugsnax might be. I mean, the capturing part sounds like Ape Escape. like the capturing.
Well, it sounds like Pokemon, doesn't it?
It does sound like Pokemon too, right? Capture 100 different bug snacks.
Yeah.
I guess Pokemon Snap, you're kind of Pokemon Snap, you're like literally capturing them like in pictures. You're not like catching.
Yeah,
Pokemon
of course. Yeah. But this makes it sound like you're capturing them and force feeding them to your friends. Because it's talking about like stuff your new friends with bug snacks. So to be clear, our friends aren't the bug snacks. Stuff your new friends with bug snacks to customize them with countless new looks. So we're on the island looking for Lizbert, and we're going to have new friends. I assume the mayor is one of them. Is Lizbert the walrus? Do we know that? Lizbert's the walrus. She's missing.
Oh.
So we have the mayor. He's one of our friends. That thing that runs up to Lizbert at the end of the trailer, not the monster, but the other one is like, I got weenie fingers or whatever. He's going to be one of our fucking friends. And then we force feed them the bug snacks to make them into creatures that can then do things. Like, I guess there's going to be like doors that only strawberry hands can open. Does that make sense?
Oh, that would actually be really cool. I'd actually be really into that. That's actually a really cool idea. I want to know what the Dark Cloud thing is referencing. Like, is it like Dark Cloud where in Dark Cloud you're going into dungeons and like, are you going to dungeons in this game and are you like finding your bug snacks there to then take out of the dungeons and use around your community?
Okay, what I can confirm for you now is that I'm looking at the press kit still. I can send it to you. Barrett, do you have the ability to bring stuff up like Kevin does? I sent it to you anyway, Barrett. I hope you're alive. All right, I sent it to you, Barrett, if you want to go to the Bug Snacks press page. Blessing, you're getting it too. Because there's two critical pieces of information we can pull. These are in your Slacks, by the way. Two critical pieces of information here. Because you scroll and it's like all the gibberish I just wrote or read, that's garbage. Then it's the trailer, sure. Then it's screenshots. And the screenshots look like the things we've already seen, right? We got the French fries spider guy here with his little ketchup head or whatever. We got the Bungie Burgery, whatever the hell his name is. The ribs, the mayor, Then some snails playing basketball that I don't understand. But then we have a campfire scene with 6 different friends. The mayor and some friends around it. Bless. And they're sitting there. The mayor's just got a stick over the fire. I bet they didn't have time to animate in the marshmallow. And one of them's playing guitar and has like Elton John sunglasses on. One of them has a strawberry like head, but not a head, just like maybe a hat. But what's very interesting, Blessing, is right beneath that screenshot, you have what I believe. I don't remember the trailer well. I probably should have watched it. I didn't know we were gonna have this much of a dissection here.
I didn't know either, but we're here.
Beneath that, in the screenshots, you have this image that is in first person of somebody looking at their watch. So we're playing in first person. Apparently, we're getting these. You see what I'm talking about here? Because you got Bear. Are the people seeing this?
Oh shit!
Doesn't matter. Everybody, you can go to the very easy URL to remember, younghorsesgames.com/.
If you're having the same issue I'm having, you got to
period
click back.
PHP P equals bug snacks hashtag. Okay, they got it now. When you scroll though, you see this one. You see, look at the watch. He's looking at his watch. He's got a falcon in front of him. He's looking at his watch.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
So now we can confirm bug snacks in first person. Maybe everybody knew this, but we were just talking about the bug snacks song. I think more than we were actually talking about bug snacks. The game.
I feel like the more we've talked about it within the last 10 minutes, the less I understand about what this game is.
But I'm also more hyped for it.
I am more hyped for it because there was a tweet that they made. I believe this was the Young Horses Twitter. They tweeted out the other day, nobody suspects a thing, which I know is an Octodad reference, but what if that is also referencing bug snacks? What if this game has something deeper under the layers that we just don't realize?
This rumor. There's been an ongoing rumor out there that it's hiding something more sinister. And there is a monster that rushes you at the end. Now, granted, as you just said, maybe that's us. But then also the one thing we haven't talked about with this rib photo, when you look at the ribs, the baby back ribs crawling around, they're crawling over literally a shallow grave. There are
you're right.
3 different skeletons, 4 different skulls in here that have been buried shallowly with what looks to be some kind of drum. Did the ribs do this or did the monster do this? There's a lot to digest in bug snacks.
Yeah, there's a lot here.
See, that's a pun.
That's a great pun.
Strawberry being called strawberry or whatever isn't. A burger being called bungie. That doesn't make any sense. God, you know what I mean?
It's a great episode.
Game developers. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this is PS I Love You, XOXO. It's your PlayStation podcast. Each and every week, Blessing and I come to you usually Tuesday in the morning, 6 a.m. Pacific time, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Podcast services around the globe, roosterteeth.com, anywhere you want to get it. Remember, you can get it early, though, patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You can watch us record it live like so many people are doing right now. I was going to name names, but I clicked on the wrong thing. Like Mike L., Demetrius Newell, and David Mertz.
Hey.
So many more of you, but thank you for being here live. Yeah, on Patreon, you can submit your questions to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You can get the show ad-free, and you can get it with the exclusive post show we do each and every week. Thank you for supporting us. Some housekeeping for you before we get into the show proper. Believe it or not, it's this week, ladies and gentlemen. Neil Druckmann, Ashley Johnson, and Troy Baker are coming to the Kind of Funny Games cast for a Last of Us Part 2 spoiler cast. Gloves off. Talk to them about making the game, what their themes were, all that jazz under the video game Last of Us. Son, you can write in to kindoffunny.com/Patreon. No, yeah, that's right. kindoffunny.com/Patreon or patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You can submit your questions to the Gamescast feed. I will pull them there. Also important for this show, PS I Love You, XOXO. As promised, next week's episode 25, will be us doing a spoiler cast with you for The Last of Us Part 2. IGN's Janet Garcia will join Blessing and myself to go through your reviews, your questions, your stuff like that. Now, a week and a half you've had to play that game. I know so many of you are already done with it. Just go on and send in your questions for next week's PS I Love You, XOXO, or reviews. I want to mainly have what you guys think of the game. Go from there. Thank you to our Patreon producers for making this show happen. Mohammed, Connor Nolan, James Hastings, Sancho West Gaming, Julian, the gluten-free gamer, Delaney Twinning, Aaron Bonilla, Jeffrey Long, and Jesus Barrio, a.k.a. Bentfork_PR. I assume that's a Twitter. Do you assume that as well?
I don't assume anything. You know what they say about when you assume things?
Make an ass of you and me.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
This week, that's interesting. See, here's what I want you to know, everybody, because I'm such a good guy, and I'm so good I'm not a good guy. Well, I'm a good guy, but not for this reason. I'm good at my job in stretching, right? I was doing it because, I didn't look up who the ad was this week, right? So then, I did that whole thing about Bent Fork PR and whatever, right? I opened the ad so I'd be able to say it. And then I saw it says Me Undies. But then right underneath it, there's another person. There's another ad that is in there, but it says the wrong show underneath it, which is very confusing to me. You know what I mean, Bless?
Oh, yeah, I see what's going on.
I'm going to give it to them. Maybe we're wrong. But I don't think we are.
The other guys are the ad for.
They're already on Games Daily, so why would you put them here? Right? They have to be here today. Today we're sponsored by MeUndies and Purple Mattress, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be this week's X's and O's. Blessing, take it away.
We have 4 items today, Greg. Are you ready?
Yes.
Number 1, can I ask you a controversial question?
I would love to hear a controversial. Yeah, I want to hear it. Yeah.
Is The Last of Us Part 2 PS4's biggest success? I'm pulling this from Christopher Dring at GamesIndustry.biz, who writes about some of the UK sales going on over the weekend. The Last of Us Part 2 was shot to the top of the UK box charts in significant fashion. The action horror game is Sony's fastest selling release this generation, narrowly beating the opening week of 2016's Uncharted 4 by just over 1%. Download sales are not included in this data, so when we factor in digital sales, it's possible the game's launch was even bigger. The Last of Us Part 2 is comfortably bigger than its PS3 predecessor, with launch sales being 76% higher, although it's worth noting that the PS4 is more popular than the PS3. As a result, it's the biggest UK launch for any box game released this year so far, with sales 40% higher than the previous best, Animal Crossing New Horizons. So Greg, I ask you, based on these very early preliminary sales, and we're talking about the UK specifically here, and so we got to wait until we see what the worldwide sales are, and especially weeks afterward, what that looks like. But from what we have so far, what we've seen, what the reviews are, is The Last of Us Part 2 PS4's biggest success?
Oh my God.
It's a very open-ended question.
Because it's Spider-Man otherwise, right? Spider-Man's the best-selling PlayStation 4 game outside of this, right?
Yeah, if we're talking about best-selling, yes. Yeah.
Well, aren't we judging success by sales?
I mean, listen, success is just a word. You can define it however you want. I'm just
I see how you're going to weasel out of this one. All right. That's what I'm trying to figure out over here as I'm Googling around trying to come up with what the actual numbers are. Because I forget what Spider-Man's at right now. Do you remember?
What it's at right now, I don't know off the top of my head now.
July 18th, I'm looking at a Sammy Barker article on Push Square, PS4 exclusive PS4 exclusive Marvel Spider-Man is the best-selling superhero game ever.
See, I'm saying August 2019, it has sold over 13.2 million Spider-Man.
Damn.
It's a big number. I'm trying to find more recent numbers.
Is it gonna be? Is it? The Spider-Man numbers are such a juggernaut number.
Mm-hmm.
And Spider-Man is so much more well-known than The Last of Us, I feel. That I can't imagine this being PlayStation 4's biggest success. Does that make sense?
I can see that. I mean, I think that makes sense. I think in terms of if you laid out like the first party catalog to me, like at the beginning of the generation, you asked which of these games are going to sell the best, I probably would say Spider-Man. You know, knowing the brand of Spider-Man, knowing that like a good Spider-Man game can appeal to so many people, knowing that it's more of a family brand. Like Last of Us Part 2 being such a violent and rated M game, like overall is going to limit its sales, right? Like especially when you look at the wide reach of a game like Spider-Man. Like everybody loves Spider-Man. Like not just kids, not just families. Like everybody loves Spider-Man.
So here's the thing. I'm looking at the Wikipedia for the best-selling PlayStation 4 games, right? Number 1's Grand Theft Auto 5, 20 million. Number 2 is Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, 16 million. Number 3 is Marvel Spider-Man, 13.2 million. So we're hung up on the fact that it's the best-selling superhero game of all time. That's what we're getting hung up on. So then it gets really interesting. Can Uncharted 4 another Naughty Dog game, right?
Mm-hmm. And to point back to this article, like Last of Us Part 2 in Europe is already beating Uncharted 4 in terms of like the first weekend sales.
Right.
Do you think this continues?
I mean, yeah. Right? Like I think it's always so hard. I've never been the numbers guy, as everybody who's ever watched me on any show knows. So that's always the thing about it. Where again, Uncharted 4, right, is the fourth entry, which I know stupid sound, but stick with me, right? Of like that's how much time that's built up and how much love that has for it. But even then, does putting out that many thing and finally ending Drake's story, that just built to that moment. So The Last of Us Part 1 and then sitting on that for 7 years and letting that cook, right, and become so important and so exciting and so having people fall in love with it and be so enamored with it. Does that then lead to this being pent up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the action horror game is Sony's fastest selling release this generation, narrowly beating the opening week of 2016's Uncharted 4 by just over 1%. Download sales are not included in this data.
I feel like for as big as Uncharted is, The Last of Us Part 1, I feel like was just so better acclaimed, like just widely. Like I think people more so look at The Last of Us as a masterpiece more so than any of the Uncharted's. And I think when you factor that in, and you factor in like the audience love for the characters, even though I know Uncharted had love for those characters, I feel like Last of Us just has like a specific special sauce with it that is going to make it outclass Uncharted in terms of the wide reception, or not even wide reception, but like in terms of sales, in terms of how many people come out and show up for it.
You hope so. You know what I mean? Like, I think as much as we've talked about how amazing The Last of Us Part 2 is, and this is me, I know you've backed off the 10 out of 10 masterpiece take as much as I have, but
I still think it's incredible. Like,
no, you hate it. It's fine. Your review bombing
almost a masterpiece.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I did rate it a 1, but still.
It's either a 1 or a 10 to you. It's easy. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be a 10. It's got to be a 1. Yeah, I'd like to think it would, but again, it's how much more palatable is Uncharted? You know what I mean? I know that's something we've gone back and forth on too, as well. It's pandemic, and like, do people want to be depressed with The Last of Us? And that's not necessarily the emotion we pulled out of it, but so many other people did pull that out of it. And I have seen people say they're staying away because of that, or watching somebody stream because of it. Uncharted 4, Uncharted, always this bombastic pulp adventure, but you're talking about there being way more PlayStations out in the wild now than there were when Uncharted 4 came out, let alone, the continued tale of Uncharted 4. It's definitely possible. I just wonder how much, Not even the review bombing, not any of that crap. How much but like how much the actual subject matter being more adult and more dark, how much that would turn people off. I'd like to think it wouldn't, but I mean, you're putting it up. I honestly feel like you're taking this, and I know this is ridiculous because of course it is a PlayStation Studios first party, multi-million-dollar AAA yada. It in a lot of ways, I feel like you're taking like something that's trying to be this art house film and putting it up against a blockbuster, right? Like I said, I know it's AAA. I know the action gameplay is there and the crafting and the killing and the cards. And I know a million other ways that obviously this is not that, but I would say there's more substance to this than in Uncharted. There's more substance to this in terms of what's happening than your usual AAA video game, go shoot something in space.
Yeah. And I can see that. And I would point back to what I was saying earlier, right? Like, I think in terms of the subject matter of The Last of Us Part 2, I think it still comes back to this game is rated M. This game is very violent. This game is not suitable for children. This game limits its audience in that way.
Great point.
In a way
it's like
that,
an R-rated movie, right?
Yeah, it's like an R-rated movie versus something like Avengers, where Uncharted has that leg up in terms of how many people are going to be able to play it or how many people are going to be willing to play it because it's just more accessible in that way. I don't know. I'm
very say that, of course, in GTA 5 is number one.
Yeah, but GTA 5 is still GTA 5 though. Like GTA is a whole different kind of franchise where you can race in Grand Theft Auto, right? Like go online and just race cars and that be okay with your parents. Or like you can go online and like do like your team death matches and stuff and have it be analogous to a Call of Duty in a way where if you're a parent and like you look over your shoulder and you see GTA 5 being played by your kid, it's less of a thing than like looking over, seeing Last of Us Part 2 and seeing Ellie just like gutting one after another. Like stabbing all these people. And I think that multiplayer factor in GTA Online in general just has it's weird because it is GTA, but it still has that wider appeal toward like the amount of kids I hear when I log into GTA Online, when I log into a lobby, is off the chain. And that's just because like, at a certain point, parents just let it slide, and whether or not that's right, that's a whole different discussion. But I think there's just a lot of people of all ages that are willing to play GTA 5 as opposed to Last of Us Part 2, where of course kids are still going to play it. Like people of all ages are still going to play The Last of Us Part 2, but I think the number is lower because there's way more of a focus on that violence and on those adult themes than GTA, where there's a whole lot of that. There's like a lot of like fucked up adult shit in GTA 5, but there's also options there where you don't have to necessarily engage as directly with the over-the-top adult shit.
And that's just where it gets interesting. And there's a really interesting wrinkle to this in a second, but where does it? Because let me go through the top 10 PS4, at least top 7, because it gets into the argument here. Number 1, Grand Theft Auto 5. Number 2, Uncharted 4. Number 3, Spider-Man. Number 4, Witcher 3. Number 5, God of War. Number 6, Last of Us Remastered. Number 7, Horizon Zero Dawn. Then it's 8, Gran Turismo. 9, Monster Hunter World. 10, Final Fantasy Remake. This is according to Wikipedia, of course. It's such an uphill battle when you get into Uncharted 16 million of can The Last of Us Part 2 topple that? And here's where it gets interesting is Lifetime. I think it could. Do you want to know why, Blessing?
Why?
There's an HBO show coming. Like think of what Netflix did for The Witcher. Like I really do see that you having this game come out great, and then whatever it is, a year and a half, 2 years, or whatever it is, till Last of Us the TV show starts. And when it does start, I could easily see that so many people being like, "Oh my god, this is awesome! It was based on a game. Where can I get these games? Oh, PlayStation 5 is backwards compatible or whatever. You pick up remastered, you pick up Last of Us Part 2, and you go at it that way. And then I would see those numbers maybe spike again in the same way Witcher 3's did."
I can see that. I think that's a very good point. And I also think whatever they do for PS5, as far as like quote unquote like re-releasing or updated releases or what that may look like for The Last of Us Part 2, I think could also be a big influence. Because if there's like a different SKU or some sort of PS5 version of The Last of Us Part 2, then I think you also start to see people double dip the way that happened with The Last of Us Remastered, which is going to boost sales way more than Uncharted 4, but also like to the question of what is PS4's most successful game. If we're talking about like just limited to PS4, then I don't know how you want to factor that in, but
and that would be the biggest problem, I think. Yeah, is if they make a PlayStation 5 specific SKU that has faction multiplayer bundled in with it and whatever the hell else, then yeah, that wouldn't affect the numbers here. You're talking at the end of a console generation, what is going to happen? Which is, of course, where you want a huge exclusive to drop. You want it to drop when there are the most units out to play it. When you have this runaway success that is the PlayStation 4. Especially, with their games carrying over to PlayStation 5, even though I know I have seen people tweet that they're going to wait for PlayStation 5 to pick up The Last of Us. But even then, you'd be behind the PS4 SKU, so it would fall into this argument.
Greg, can I bring in a question from Easton?
Sure. I just wish I had I wish I had the balls to answer it. You know what I mean? Of like, where the fuck this game is? Is it its biggest success?
Well, when I first posed the question, of course, like I was thinking about success from a numbers perspective, but the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I was like, what about this question from just an overall, like, the way we look at, I guess, the biggest games or the best games of a generation, right?
Sure.
Like, when you look, when all is said and done and we look back at the catalog of the PS4, what do you think Last of Us Part 2's like position will be in it in terms of, I guess, just wider influence and how we look back at the cat? Like, because right now, right, I look at the generation and I'm like, all right, God of War is that game. Like, God of War is the game coming out of the PS4 generation that I see as, one of the biggest successes in terms of reception and how well it redefined a character and redefined a franchise and how well it sold. Spider-Man I put up there too. Horizon Zero Dawn I put up there too. And I think Last of Us Part 2 is easily going to be among those ranks. But what do you think is the most successful one out of those in that conversation?
Honestly, I don't think anything touches Rocket League. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Do me a favor and drive the fucking show and don't be on it, Barrett. All right?
Damn.
You tell me.
Do me a favor and like fucking pick a side at this point, Greg. Stop pussyfooting around.
Shut off a pot, will you? Fuck. No, I love the question, and especially when we get it away from sales, which I always fuck up anyway. When you just ask what is like. When we think of PlayStation 4, like, right, and you think of the exclusives, what are you going to think about? And what are you going to look back at it? And I think that I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility that Last of Us Part 2 will be at the top of that list for a lot of people. Because really? I do think, like, I know I've said it and I'm trying not to beat a dead horse here, but I do think that The Last of Us Part 2 represents a major step forward in video games as an art form. Whether you love or hate the story, whether you love or hate the way the gameplay does all this different stuff. But when you look at it and you see the way they seamlessly meld from gameplay into cutscene, when you see, again, what I complimented them so much for Last of Us Part 1, no spoilers, don't worry, for Last of Us Part 2, but what I complimented them so much there for being the entire game here of like, no, we're telling you a story. You are not, but you are our prisoner for this, right? Like you're on a ride here. You don't get to choose your own adventure. You don't get to do this. We're here to tell you. We are in the same way authors sit down and have you read their story in the same way you go watch a movie. We are telling you something that's uncomfortable and you have to be along for the ride. I think that is something that will be dissected long after the PlayStation 4 is gone, long after people are not playing Last of Us concurrently. I think, even right now, the amount of spoiler casts and podcasts that keep happening, the fact that I could do the Game Explained one and have great conversations, then go do our spoiler cast on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames right now and have great conversations. And that Blessing, you could do that. And then you could go do that Drunk Janet Garcia one for 3 hours, right? Like, this is the kind of game that I do think that, in the same way we debated, Joel's decision in The Last of Us Part 1, I think, for years. I think you'll see people still at a bar years from now, whenever PSX comes back, God bless it, one day, knock on wood, that you'll still see people at whatever hotel bar 3 a.m. sitting there talking about this and why this was the right choice or this was the right thing.
Greg Easton writes into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames and says, "What's up, Greg and Bless? I'm halfway through The Last of Us Part 2 and I feel like I'm going insane. Am I playing a different game than everyone that's not a critic? The audience reception of this game is shocking to me. The game is so well put together, and the story, while perhaps initially cheap feeling, has added much more meaningful context over the 14 or so hours I played. But honestly, I was all in from the first cutscene. Needless to say, the online vitriol has me questioning my own taste in games, and also concerned. 2 questions for you guys. Do you think this backlash will make Sony rethink the autonomy they've given Naughty Dog, or at least result in more narratively standard games going forward? Big AAA games need to be able to take risks for the industry to move forward, in my opinion. Also, do you think everyone would have been so quick to jump on the hate train had the leaks not happened? Thanks for all you do, Easton. This is a very interesting question, especially in the context of so all weekend I've been on Twitter, right? The game came out Friday morning. I guess definitely not healthy, but it's kind of all I've been able to do this weekend. The game came out Thursday, of course, and as people have been experiencing it and have been playing through it, I've been very curious just to see like, all right, now that people are actually playing it, how are people feeling about it? And I've been surprised to see that like it is still like somehow more divided than I thought. Like when I look around in the community, I'm seeing so many people actually like really love the game. But just in general, when I and I don't suggest anybody do this, but especially because of spoilers, but just in general, when I type in The Last of Us Part 2 in the Twitter search just to see like what people are talking about, see what's trending, there's like a lot of people. There's so many people that are very off-put with a lot of decisions made in the game narratively in a way that I'm very surprised about, in a way that I kind of get if you just read the spoilers and didn't play the game. Yeah. But seeing people who are actually playing the game and come out the game, and I mean, I'm talking about like vitriolic response. I'm not necessarily talking about people who are like, this game didn't live up to my expectations, or this game made some bad choices here or there, or this game's like an 8, or this game's like a 7. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about people that are like vitriolic, like this game is terrible. This game is they ruined The Last of Us, like that type of stuff. I'm surprised to see how much of it is out there.
Yeah, me too. And I think that's what's been fascinating about it. We always talk about when we're working on a review and you're running up to that embargo, usually we don't even know if we're lucky enough to have multiple copies and we're all reviewing together. We usually don't know what the other person thinks until you sit down. And so this time around, having it be that I know we liked it, and I knew that Dornbush liked it, and I talked to a few other people who were playing. You're like, oh my god, this game, blah blah. It really was. It was surprising to me, let alone when it came out and like, Callie gave it like an 8, and you started seeing like the unscored reviews being a little bit more like, I don't know, this violence is bad. I didn't need you to tell me that, which I think is quite the reduction of the narrative. But I understand what their points were, and I'm obviously reducing even more their reduction. But then to get it out into when we put up the spoiler cast on Friday, I checked in on YouTube, and it was nearly 50-50 thumbs up, thumbs down, which if you are a podcast listener or just don't pay attention to that kind of stuff, that is not the traditional Kind of Funny video. The traditional Kind of Funny video is 95 to 97% thumbs up, and then this incredibly tiny minority down. I'm looking down at where we're at right now. Right now we started to go back. It's 1,000 up and 757 down as of recording this show, right? Mm-hmm. And what I justified on Friday looking at it as, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, clearly the reason this is getting downvoted, let alone the fact that views weren't up, that's an expected thing, right? We put up the spoiler cast as soon as we can so that when you beat the game, you can come watch the video. And so we put it up knowing that it's going to be a long tail. And so you put it up knowing that the people who are going to click on it day one are either other reviewers, other people who have somehow got an early copy and played it, or they just don't care and aren't going to play the game to begin with. The Kind of Funny audience, right? You're not going to come around until you've beaten it, until you want to get in there. So you'd miss out on the normal thumbs up or fans who are going to come in and do that kind of stuff. So when I went there, saw this, I was like, man, that's a crazy reaction. I read the comments. It's just people basically like, I watched the cutscenes, I read the story, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, then, this doesn't jive for me. To watch throughout the weekend, people cross that finish line and see so many of them that are, peers and respected reviewers and personalities, whatever you want to say, cross the finish line and be like, I did it. It's done. I don't know what I think about this game. I'm going to need to, you know what I mean? And not be like, and see people who are like talking about like the violence, or I didn't like the story choice, or it's this really interesting push and pull to see what people are taking away from it in a way that I wasn't expecting. I was expecting it to be that, I don't understand the violence, but I agree this game's, 10 out of 10 or whatever, that this game's a masterpiece, or this game's, really, really great. The amount of debate and back and forth, the different things people are getting hung up on that I didn't get hung up on, you didn't get hung up on, all these different things. It's an interesting thing to wrestle with. And it's why I've said on all the shows, right? I'm so excited for us to get more and more people there. And the reason we keep doing different content on it, the fact that there was a review, then there was a spoiler cast this week, there's another spoiler cast next week, there's your reviews with us and Janet. Like and this is again back to my, the nut of my argument in the review is that this is unlike most, if not all, or in just most video games, right? That I think it does things and achieves things and plays with you in different ways that leave you feeling the way you usually don't feel when you roll credits on a video game. And I think that's why everybody is having these reactions and wanting to talk about it. And I do think that there's going to be dissertations written on this in colleges, right? And papers. And it will be a game we talk about for a long time in terms of agency, choice, characters, all sorts of stuff that I don't want to spoil.
Yeah, of course.
An update on how I feel so far.
Yeah,
but not Bugsnax.
Without spoilers,
yeah,
can you tell us where you are?
I'm about 8.5 hours in. Can I say like location and?
Yeah, you're in Seattle, right?
Yeah, so Seattle. Day 2 is okay. What I'll say.
That's good enough. That's good enough.
I really like the game. My only problem is that, a feature that we saw in Last of Us Part 1, and we see it return in 2, is the feature that makes me feel safe around all of these zombie type of monsters, which is the listening mode, where you can kind of get an idea of where everybody is at and all this stuff. And I just got introduced an hour ago, or a little over an hour ago, to a type of enemy that is not effective to those enemies, and I just want to say fuck that. I hate it.
Improved stalkers, right?
I'm so scared of the stalkers. I didn't want to bring up their name specifically just in case, but
we did a preview on PS I Love You where I was like, oh yeah, and then stalkers, and people were like, they aren't new, and then there was this debate back and forth in the body or the comments, right, of like, they're not new, but the way he's describing them isn't how they acted in the first game. Yeah. And like that night I hit the stalkers in Last of Us Part 1 and I was like, oh, they drastically changed how these guys act.
Oh, I don't remember the stalkers.
I didn't realize
you won it because they're just not the same.
And like I replayed that game like a week ago or so. But yeah, they're real scary and I hate it. And that's the only thing I hate about the game. The rest of the game's pretty good.
to Easton's question here, do you think everyone would have been so quick to jump on the hate train had the leaks not happened? I don't think people would have been so quick to do it. I do think we would have eventually kind of got there though. Like seeing now that like the game's out and seeing reception over the weekend and seeing people kind of go back and forth on it. I don't think it would have been as vitriolic and as I don't think people would have been so quick to just judge and leave it alone. But I do still think based on events in the game that people would have gotten to that place where they were like, oh man, fuck this game. I think that would have still happened.
That would have, but it would have been met with the mixed response. You would have had the people who were already applauding the choices and saying, oh my God, this is so great and brave. And then it would have also been the people who are like, oh my God, this sucks. The problem was that when the leaks happened, I feel like they were mainly met with angry people because so many people didn't want to have it spoiled. So again, it was people of, I don't know how much they care or don't care. They got in there and really got woken up to what Naughty Dog was doing this time around. I think, what another fascinating, it's just starting, right? We're just at the tip of the iceberg. Another fascinating wrinkle to all this, and I know I've said wrinkle 1,900 times in the show, so you can add it to the new Greg Miller tired phrase book. Another wrinkle that was interesting was, Blessing, I think it was you, right, sent me the reveal trailer for The Last of Us Part 2 when we were playing it, right? Like, oh man, this is so much more context. And I watched it again. The link you sent was from the PSX, obviously. Or was it PSX? Yeah, PSX, where they revealed it. Was it PSX or
the very first time? I think that was
her playing the guitar.
Game Awards?
Was it Game Awards?
No, it was PSX because I was there. I was in the room where it happened, and it was hype as hell.
And here's my thing, is that's what I found so interesting about it, was watching that gameplay reveal again and the crowd going crazy, right, when they realize it's Ellie, and then going crazy when they see Joel, and it being this thing that, again, Last of Us Part 1, I feel like the entire way through is a pretty traditional video game until we get to that ending. And like I've always said, and I know it's boring, oh my God, I'm the bad guy. And I had so many debates with people of like, well, are you the bad guy? What is it? Blah, blah, blah. Yada, yada. But it didn't take off in terms of a industry-wide, every gamer I knew, anybody who I'd bring that up to and they wanted to fight me, like, you're not a dad. A dad would have done it. It's a dad thing. I'm like, but there's more to it since he wasn't really your dad. And it was like, no, you don't understand. I'm like, okay, cool. This game, I think, starts and never lets go of that, not idea that you're the bad guy, but the idea of these are not perfect archetypes. These are flawed human beings. And I think that I already felt that way about Joel and Ellie. So to watch that reveal trailer and see people go crazy for them the way you'd go crazy for Kratos in God of War 3, that was interesting to me because I think part of people's distaste, part of people's anger to this is not only the fact that, these characters would never act this way, which is one of the comments I've seen. You know what I mean? They would never do this. What these people don't even know. Neil and Hallie don't even know like the characters they're working with. I already felt like these characters were able to exist in this gray area and were able to do different things based on what they were. And I think people waking up not only to the fact that they don't like where the story goes, but that they don't like the characters they thought they loved. Right. This always goes back to, the old Colin and Greg Live, even where Colin would be like, oh, my God, well, these people who are like naming their kids these things off of shows in season 1, like you don't know what season 8's going to bring. Right. And Khaleesi definitely turned out to be that way. Right. Like, I feel like there's a lot of that wrapped up in this, where it was like, I played this game and that ignoring that final choice and not agreeing with Greg, I see everybody to be like this. And then you get to this game where the creators are like, well, no, they're not like that. And they're not like even what Greg thought. They are this gray area that can do whatever. And I think that pissed people off on top of everything else that happens in the game.
Now, this is a controversial question, but do you think that might be a failure of The Last of Us Part 1? Because I know for me, it wasn't until this latest time where I went through The Last of Us and I got to those points where, I had those revelations that like, oh shit, like, Joel's a smuggler. Like Joel's doing some shit that like isn't okay towards the end of this game. Whereas I want to say like my original times playing it in 2013, I never really had that revelation that like Joel's the bad guy. I never really felt that way. And the more and more I kind of sat with it, and the more and more I kind of went back to the game, I feel like that's when I started to get that flavor more and more when I focused on Joel's actions in the winter chapter, which could be very easily justified as oh no, he's saving Ellie, like he's doing good here. And like by the time you get to the hospital, like his actions there, I think you can justify those too. Like for the most part in the game, so many of his actions. Most of his actions are very, very justifiable in a way that, like when you get to The Last of Us Part 2 and things start to unravel in different ways for different characters, and you have people that do feel that like, oh man, I don't know if I agree with the way this character is acting. I don't know that this character would make this decision. Is that because The Last of Us Part 1 didn't necessarily establish those characters in that way yet?
I don't think it's a failure at all. I think it's what they were going for. I think if you would have done that early on of like, man, what's going on here? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I think you would have had a more cognitive dissonance with it, right? There would have been a break for it. I think it's way more interesting to get to the end of it and have that be either it resonates for you and you recognize it or you don't, or maybe another playthrough you do or somebody discusses it or any of those kind of things. I think that's what they were going for and that's what they wanted to make different. However, this is also the weird, not grading on a curve thing, but not accepting the parts as a whole, right? Like I always go back to that in the run up to Last of Us Part 2, Neil was very clear of like, there's a reason this is called Last of Us Part 2 and not The Last of Us 2. He's like, this is the other half of the story. And so when you think of that and you put them together, and we have this cliffhanger moment where it's like, what the fuck? Like I can't believe we're leaving the characters this way. To then pick up and have an entire game where the characters are doing something very specific, whether you want them to or not, I think plays into what they were building, right? And when you look at them as the sum of their parts, I think that makes a lot of sense in why they did it and why they built it that way.
To the point in Easton's question, where Easton brings up, do you think this backlash will make Sony rethink the autonomy they've given Naughty Dog, or at least result in more narratively standard games going forward? I think to that, I don't think so. I think Naughty Dog has earned over the years that benefit of the doubt. Like especially when you look at The Last of Us Part 1, and even when you look at The Last of Us Part 2 critical reviews, right? Like they knocked it out of the park. Like they did an amazing job with this game. Uncharted 4 also, when you loop that in.
And we're doing the thing that we do because this is our lives, right? And I'm talking about you, the viewer/listener, right? Of like, oh, well, the scuttlebutt on Twitter is not that good, and the YouTube comments aren't that good. It's outselling everything else that's come before it in the UK, right? Like the game is going to be a critical and commercial success. What the overall temperature of the public is, I can't say. I do not in any way think Sony would rethink this. If anything, I think it's going to show it's the first cracking the dam of really being able to, and I guess it takes away from a lot of people's work. Let me rephrase that. It's the latest crack in the dam to where we're really going to get to where games will push you to think critically in a way they have not before. And I'm not putting down the other games that I love and have made me fall in love with gaming and dedicate my life to it. But I think the fact that we're having these kind of discussions about this is exactly what not only Naughty Dog wants clearly, but what PlayStation wants as well. And especially when they talk about, video games being a medium, that there can be all these experiences. And like in so many ways, isn't this what we've been chasing when we talk about David Cage and Quantic Dream games? Like you want to have these rich worlds that you believe in and you care about, and choices like in a David Cage game, right? You make the choices and then see how it plays out. This one, the choices are made for you, but they want that emotional reaction. They want the coverage they're getting, where I see like the giant LA Times full page, not ads, articles about this. They want the think pieces. They want the headlines of, hey, they're doing something different here. Games are doing something different. And I think, God of War did it as well, but even that wasn't as mainstream as this. Whereas, they rebooted God of War, which was a big deal to us, right? That all of a sudden, wait, Kratos is in a different place. He's a dad. What's going on? And like, you go through it and like, holy shit, this is like God of War, but unlike any God of War before it, but still home. Whereas this gets to be, we are making a cinematic experience, a cinematic game. We are taking you on an adventure. We are taking you on a ride. We want this to be just like your favorite book, where, it's this tome you go through and it's this journey you go through, especially including part 1. But as I said, in the review, like having played Last of Us Part 2, then replayed Last of Us Part 1, and then come back to Last of Us Part 2, like, I mean, and this is no disrespect to Naughty Dog, who's incredible what they do, but me personally, I feel like it's literally like Last of Us Part 1 is a crayon drawing, and Last of Us Part 1 is a crayon drawing, and Last of Us Part 2 is like this painting. Like that, I just to go through it and feel the video game-ness of Last of Us Part 1, of walking into a room and being like, all right, cool, this is a very small room, and clearly that ladder has to get me somewhere, and like da. Whereas like Last of Us Part 2 is a more, hey, there's multiple paths and there's this thing and you can go do that. And that's totally, I'll go through and spend an entire 20 minutes clearing out a building section, whatever you want to call it. And then it turns out it had nothing to do with it. It was just something that was over there for me to do if I wanted to.
Kebabs writes in and says, was the crunch worth it? This is a loaded question. I want to open up a discussion.
Thank you for the warning. Be careful on how you answer this. You might fuck up your career.
I want to open up a discussion on the amount of detail in a game like The Last of Us Part 2 and crunch in video game development. While I realize crunch isn't just about putting these details into a game, I can't escape the feeling that not including things like being able to crack safes without the passcode would have put less pressure on the team. These details do generate articles from IGN and Kotaku listing 80 tiny details you didn't notice that enhance a game's acclaim, but does that justify the time spent on them? Do gamers just expect this sort of thing from quadruple A titles nowadays? Would you rather The Last of Us Part 2 not have this excessive amount of detail if the developers could work normal work hours? Thanks, and being awesome. Kebabs. So this is a very loaded question, and I don't think it's the if or kind of situation like you're presenting here. I think the biggest thing that goes into crunch culture isn't necessarily like, I was gonna say scope, but scope does play into it. I think management is the biggest thing though.
Sure.
Like I think you could still get a game like The Last of Us Part 2 made. I think you can get that game made with your team intact. I think what it just comes down to, honestly, is being responsible with workers, being responsible with how you curate a healthy culture, and providing developers like all the resources they need in terms of like I remember that Jason Schreier article that came out that was all about Naughty Dog and the stories from there. And I think one of the stories was like, oh yeah, I'd have to stay home, I'd have to stay in the office for so many hours because I had to wait for somebody over in animation to finish a thing so that I could finally implement it into my programming thing and then pass this along to the next person, right? Like,
yeah,
it's stuff like that can be ironed out with things like people in production roles, like, and I think part of that Jason Schreier article too was him talking about how they lack people in, I can't think of the exact role. I think it is like production or something along those lines. But there is a role that is specific that is specified for someone who makes it easier for different departments and different teams to communicate and to ease that workflow and to make sure that that things are on point, so that you're not crunching, so that the culture there is good for everybody. And I think part of that Jason Schreier article was kind of exposing that and was kind of talking about how, yeah, they kind of lack in having people actually fulfill those roles. And so I think, one, that's like that would be an amazing start. And I think, two, in terms of is the crunch worth it, right? Like,
yeah,
the answer is always no. Like, I don't need somebody to not see their wives and kids for The Last of Us Part 2 to get made. I think it goes way more deeper and more difficult than that, though. I don't know, Greg. Do you agree, or
yeah? I'm 100%. You hit the nail on the head, right? Is the crunch worth it? Is it worth not seeing your family and doing all these different things to make this video game and sell a gajillion units? And yet, no, it is not. You know what I mean? Like, I think that is a hard thing to say as a video game lover. That is a hard thing to say as a Naughty Dog fan. No, actually, that's not. It's not hard to say at all, I guess. It's just that it's a complicated issue, right? This is what we come back to. The long and short of it is, of course, crunch is wrong. And the problem we get left and launched into, I feel, is that crunch gets thrown around so not easily, but in so many different respects. Where when I think of crunch and I think of crunch as a bad thing, I'm always thinking of, and this is not a Naughty Dog thing, or maybe it is a Naughty Dog. I'm not using Naughty Dog as an example, though, but I'm saying everybody milestone is in 3 weeks. We are way behind. Everybody needs to work 20-hour days. Everybody, this like mandate from the top that is like, this is what's going on. You need to fucking do this. When a lot of other people, developers and even people and content creators throw around crunch a different way of, man, I'm on this thing and I'm working on it and it's great. So I stayed late at the office and I did all this stuff, but then I had this meeting. So I was here first thing. I do it all the time for Kind of Funny of, Tim has to stop me and tell me not to do that. Like, he'll take me off shows because he'll see me start overcommitting and doing these different things because I love doing it. That's a different ball of wax, right? If we're going to sit here and focus on crunch culture of just being, we have to do this, we have to sit here, we have to be here all working a 19-hour day, that's of course bad. That of course is wrong. To your point that you brought up, and even KBABZ, I think, goes on, right, that it isn't really like detail, right? I realize crunch isn't just about putting those details in a game. It is so many systems. It is so many different aptitudes. It is all sorts of things that are wrapped up in this. But in general, no, I'd rather see games delayed. But it is that thing of, when you have creatives, I feel like no matter how much extra time you give them, they're going to work up to the deadline. And maybe that's me speaking out of turn. I've never made a video game before. I've never worked in a studio before. But I know that as a creative, when I have more time for something, I take more time with something. And that's the big push and pull of this, of trying to find that healthy work-life balance for it. And not to mention the fact that, of course, what works for one doesn't work for all. One person can feel that they put in 20 hours a day there on their own merits. They want to be there. They're doing whatever, yada, yada, yada. And then they know to take a day off, or they know to do whatever, and it balances out for them and they're great about it. And then somebody else who's working 12 hours a day doesn't have the exact same feeling. And they also feel like they can't get out from under it because their boss is the person who works 20 hours and they're there doing it nonstop. Like, unhealthy workplaces exist in so many different ways. And I think we're always so, not quick, but personally, if I was going to talk about an unhealthy workplace, I would think of a bad boss, abusive boss. You know what I mean? People not being heard, people being forced out of the company, When in reality, an unhealthy workplace doesn't have to be toxic. It can just be unhealthy. It can be that this isn't the way it has to be done. We can pivot, we can do it. And I think, even with you guys, right, Bless, like, I see it so many times from you guys, our employees at Kind of Funny, that are like, you're doing something or want to do something, and then you come and you kind of ask permission because I feel like at a job before or somewhere else in our industry or whatever, you've heard a horror story of somebody getting mad about that, and we're the opposite. Like, no, I don't care. Do what you need. Do what you got to do. Blah, blah, blah. That's every workplace has its own environment and its own thing and its own push and pull. The idea of somebody missing their child's little league game, and I know it's like the most, like, I'm thinking of like liar, like the most like textbook example. I'm a lazy screenwriter, right? But like not being able to tuck your kid in it, and not being able to go home and have a dinner with your significant other, anything like that. Like, no, the video game isn't worth that. Now, all that said, whatever Naughty Dog did to get to this technical marvel, to get to what I think is this huge step forward in video games, right? Like, they did that, and only they can sit there and say, and the employees and the people who made it sit there and go, yes, this was worth it or not worth it. But that's I would never want. I could have easily done, as Kebabs points out in his thing, I could have easily done, if it would have meant somebody got to go home early. No, I did not need to know that I could audibly crack the safe, right? Like, listen and crack. I don't need that.
Yeah, and that was actually one of the things I was gonna point out, because I'm always kind of wary of pointing out like the small details, being a thing that, hey, did we really need this in particular, right? Like, did we need the save cracks? Did we need the rope challenges, and for like characters to be able to roll up rope, or Ellie able to roll up rope the perfect way that she does when she's about to like throw a rope over a thing, right? Like, I think the difficult thing with that is that I think these things are also people's passion projects. Like, in terms of the save crack thing, I'm sure it very well could be the case that whoever worked on that for Naughty Dog was very into that project and was like, this is the thing I'm all about. This is what I wanted to do for this game. This
and was
is like
probably
why I'm here.
Like super stoked when they like finally figured it out and like how to make it connect to the rest of the game,
Yeah, like I'm sure that person was on Twitter waiting for somebody to point it out, and once somebody pointed it out, they're like, fuck yeah, man, they noticed it. Like, awesome. Like, this is my work. I don't think it's always those, small unique details that translate to like, oh fuck, man, somebody missed their daughter's recital for this, or like somebody wasn't able to get home to like make their kids dinner or whatever. I don't know why it's always kids that I'm pulling in my head for this, but in my head, it's
you
always
see enough of your spouse. You know what I mean? You don't need to come home.
It's all mothers and
fathers there judging you all the time, working on their laptop, one leg on the kitchen furniture,
refusing to reveal anything about bug snacks.
And that's the thing when you talk about spouse problems. When just one of them knows so much about bug snacks and won't tell you the rest. It's upsetting.
But yeah, I just think it goes way beyond those tiny details. I never really use those in order to be like, oh man, crunch is bad. I think I think it goes way beyond that. There are other places that I think that aren't just like the small details that I think that stuff can reflect. Like, I know for a lot of games it could be polished. It could be just straight up like, hey, there's a lot of bugs in these games, and we're gonna have to like crunch to make sure this game isn't buggy. Like, those things can reflect in a lot of ways, and not in ways that aren't even obvious to us.
And that's the thing about it, where I know, I like to think that I've been very tried and true on this, and I've had the same line, which is I will wait forever for my game. I don't want to know that somebody's going through a personal hell to deliver my game. But then it always comes back to the thing of, that's my stance, period. But I don't know how the person who, this is what it just gets so complicated. I don't want anybody sitting there being forced by their boss to stay there till work Saturdays and work Sundays and not do this and not see that. And it's such a complicated fucking thing, and what a weird goddamn industry we have where art has to turn into business.
Greg, speaking of art and business, story number 2, Ready at Dawn, who developed the Order 1886, has been acquired by Facebook. This is an excerpt I'm pulling from the Oculus blog. They wrote today, I'm excited to share that Ready at Dawn is joining Facebook, and the future of groundbreaking content in VR has never looked brighter. Why Ready at Dawn? Well, Ready at Dawn is a veteran game developer, having shipped games to multiple platforms in the past, and a VR pioneer. They've created 4 games for the Oculus platform since 2017, including Lone Echo, Echo Arena, Echo Combat, and Lone Echo 2, which is currently in development. All of which feature Ready at Dawn's signature zero-G continuous locomotion system and full-body IK, which stands for inverse kinematics. Greg, did you know that? Because I did not know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, man. Inverse kinematics.
I love inverse kinematics because the inverse kinematics are so much better than the reverse kinematics.
Exactly. No, they're so much better.
That'll turn you inside out. You don't want that.
Exactly. With Facebook's latest advancements in VR technology, Ready at Dawn can readily explore a future of rich and immersive original VR content. Greg, what does this mean for the Order 1886?
Oh man, blessing. And it's the thing where I saw the news go up and I clicked on it, but it was just like Ready at Dawn, and like they were getting excited about something. So I clicked on it and I jumped in and I was like, like, did Sony finally pick them up? And of course, no. Of course, they're not. That's not what's going on. They're going to Facebook. You're like, okay, cool, great. Because I don't know, have you played any of their stuff like Lone Echo or Echo Arena, any of that stuff?
I played Echo Arena, yeah, and it's actually pretty good.
Exactly. Those games are great. I think 2 years in a row, if that makes sense, timing wise. For Judges Week, we went down there and did the Oculus area, and they had Echo Arena and then I guess Echo Combat. Yeah, that makes sense for names, right? It was that thing of jumping in and playing those and all of us being like, holy shit, like this is amazing. We played a whole bunch of other VR stuff that was fine, but like not like, newsworthy. Playing Echo Arena the first time and being in that zero gravity, we're throwing the discs or the ball around, and then you got the thing.
The disc.
It was like, holy shit, like this fucking works so well. And it was that, okay, cool, that's ready at dawn. And it's like, man, like as a PlayStation fan, you're like, you didn't nail the Order 1886. There was something there. It was talked about for so long and gestated, right? And then by the time we got it, and it was this short experience, and it ends on a way I think that's going to be interesting, right? Of like, hey, we got vampires and we got werewolves and we got penises. Let's see what happens. I was like, yes, let's go there and see what goes on. To never get another shot at that sucks. And I what does this mean for the Order? The Order's dead. Like I do, because the Order is published by PlayStation. I assume, has it ever been spelled out if they own the IP? The Order.
I've always assumed that it was published by PlayStation.
It was. To be clear, it was definitely published by PlayStation.
Yeah.
Okay. So here you go. VG 24/7 on June 2015. Order 1886 developer doesn't own the IP. Is now platform agnostic. So yeah, just making sure. That's what I would have assumed, but I hate to make an ass out of you and me.
Exactly. And yeah, so I'm looking back at Ready at Dawn's, like, I guess, gameography, and it's actually kind of like, it's interesting to see because the Order 1886 is really like the one game they made that wasn't received as well, because they started off making PSP games with Daxter and God of War Chains of Olympus.
Dude, the God of War one, come on, man.
And they also did Okami for the Wii. But then they went on to do God of War Ghost of Sparta for PSP and God of War Origins Collection, right? Which were like all very well received. And then you get to the Order 1886, which has a 63 on Metacritic for PS4. And then from there, it was just like, well, I guess they also did Deformers, which was also low on Metacritic. But that was
but Deformers was such a weird one where they were just like, we're making this multiplayer game. And it was in between all these VR things. Like I think you saw them drifting that way to becoming a more VR focused studio, which I always held out hope for, PlayStation VR stuff then. But yeah, it's not surprising because they found success and they found a great partner clearly with Facebook and Oculus. So to see them go there makes sense. I'm excited for what they do next. But yeah, there's always going to be that part of me of like, oh man, I'd like to see you try to take another shot at the Order.
Because immediately after the Order 1886, right, they go on to do Deformers, which I'm gonna throw out because it's such a weird thing. But then all the Echo games, Lone Echo, Echo Arena, Echo Combat, and they all have like above 80 on Metacritic. Which they found their footing, they found something that works, and they've already had success with VR, and they're gonna continue to have success. But it is kind of a bummer of like, man, what if like they got bought and turned into a PSVR studio, or just continue to get more chances. And so rest in peace, they're gone but not forgotten from PlayStation.
I was gonna say, wait, hold on, no, they're still making a lot of games. We're probably gonna play on Quest.
They're still gonna be very successful, and they're still like they're making that guap. But
have you used any more of your Quest? You doing any questing?
I bump in and play like a bunch of random games. The one I've been playing lately is Pistol Whip, and let me tell you, that game is difficult. That game is really hard. As somebody who I love Beat Saber, and I feel like I'm very good at Beat Saber, Pistol Whip is on another level. Like even on normal, that game is giving me issues. Like issues in terms of it's difficult, not issues in terms of it's bad, because it's actually pretty incredible.
Sure.
But that's coming to PSVR soon, and I can't wait for it. And I'm adding that to my Greg, I figured it out, by the way, when I talked about pets like 4 weeks ago on a podcast, and like my brain fried and I couldn't figure out like what the acronym was. The acronym was Port Everything to Switch. That's what PET stands for.
Okay.
And then somebody on Twitter, and I might bring this up later when I have time to actually look it up, but somebody on Twitter actually recommended a better acronym for my bring stuff to PlayStation acronym. But I'm adding Pistol Whip, and it's already being brought to PlayStation, so I guess I don't really need to add it. But
sure.
Pistol Whip coming to PlayStation. Look forward to it. It's amazing.
Bring stuff to PlayStation. You cheated, but you could do PSP. Bring stuff PlayStation. We're leaving out the 2, but who cares? Did you say PSP?
Yeah. PSP, bring stuff PlayStation?
Yeah, but I'm saying you just leave out the 2.
Like P isn't like P as in portable, S as in studios. P as in portable.
Listen, Blessing, there's some problems with the acronym. I'm just saying that PSP could easily stand for bring stuff to PlayStation.
Greg, Greg, are you trying to hint at us that there's a PSP 2 on the way?
I don't think I'm hinting. I'm straight up saying it, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, wow. Holy shit.
PSP.
It's time for PS5 watch, Greg. Story number 3.
PS5.
Greg, why haven't we heard about PlayStation's answer to smart delivery? The
Great
answer is
question.
simple. Possibly because there is none. There is no answer to smart delivery. This is from VGC, where they write an article called PS5 reportedly won't have its own Xbox smart delivery alternative. This is Andy Robinson. PS5 will reportedly not have a unified free cross-generation upgrade program like Xbox's smart delivery. Instead, Sony will leave such upgrade programs to the discretion of third-party publishers, an SIE spokesperson reportedly told Japanese publication GameSpark, translated by Video Game Chronicle. According to the publication, an SIE spokesperson said it, quote, plans to be as flexible as possible in supporting any publishers choosing to provide upgrade plans, end quote. Microsoft's Smart Delivery is an initiative which means players, quote, only have to purchase a title once in order to play the best available version for whichever Xbox console they choose to play on, end quote. This is separate from Xbox Series X backwards compatibility, which will run legacy games at current gen or increased performance levels. Although Sony will reportedly not be actively promoting a cross-gen program, its stance on third-party developers is not unlike Xbox's, which allows studios to decide for themselves whether to support smart delivery or not. And while it's not yet clear if Sony intends to offer free cross-gen upgrades for its own first-party titles, the platform holder is yet to announce any games planned for both PS4 and PS5. Electronic Arts said this week that owners of physical PS4 copies of Madden and NFL 21 will not be able to upgrade to PS5 if they own the digital edition console. They will be given a free upgrade if they own the PS5 console with a disc drive. The SIE spokesperson reportedly declined to comment on this policy when approached by GameSpark. And I saw that actually earlier as we've been recording this episode, Barrett sent us this thing on Twitter, and Twitter's not loading for me for some reason. I've been having Twitter problems all day. But it seems like Marvel's Avengers is also gonna have like a cross-buy situation, a free upgrade to PS5.
Where'd you send? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Or digital. Yeah,
it's coming from Wario64, but this is the question here. It's a free upgrade to PS5. Is that not just smart delivery?
Barrett, don't ask questions that are gonna cause an uprising.
Yeah, Wario64 tweet. Marvel's Avengers for PlayStation 4 will feature a free upgrade to the PlayStation 5 version, disc or digital, available on PlayStation 5 holiday 2020, PS4 version out September 4th. God, that's close. So,
Greg, what's up? What's happening? What's happening here? What's going on? What's on your mind about smart delivery in PlayStation 5?
So, smart delivery is at the discretion of the third party anyway. So again, I guess so in particular right now, at least especially with the Wario thing, what they're talking about is a free upgrade to the PlayStation 5. So where this would differ from smart delivery is that if I bought the PlayStation 5 version, would I be able to regress to the PlayStation 4 for free as well? Now, I don't know why you want to do that, but maybe your grandmother has a PlayStation 4 at home. You have a PlayStation 5, you go to each other's houses and stuff. Right? That would be the difference.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing with smart delivery is you're buying the game once and you just have all versions of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty much the same thing you're saying.
But to put a wrinkle into this.
Oh no.
And no, not even, and it's a wrinkle that I think should align me with nanobiologists in the chat or whatever. And because I know what everybody's always saying. If PlayStation is just going to leave this up to other people and there's free to upgrade and do that other shit, then what they're talking about for PlayStation is cross-buy, which would be that I'm a Square Enix. I'm making Marvel's Avengers. I give you the disc. You buy it or you buy it digitally or whatever, and it's just like with Vita and just like with when I buy get my Radalika games for free that are the cheap platinums, right? And I redeem the code and it says, do you want to download, the PS4, PS3, or the Vita version, all the above, whatever, right? It would be as simple as clicking that. And it would be as simple, I think, and I say simple loosely because this is so confusing, right? But for anything that's going to get a PlayStation 5 version, just taking that version of the game in quotes and attaching it to the version that already exists so that when I open up my PlayStation 5 library, I'll see everything there that I could download that is attached to my PSN name because those games have been enabled cross-buy. That's the workaround fix of it. The question is, since PlayStation is leaving this up to developers, or not even developers, publishers, how many publishers will actively do that? The argument I would think is that you'll see a lot of people fuck it up at launch, because a lot of people fuck things up at launch. And then I think hopefully our consumer smash back will be so hard and loud that they will not fuck that up going forward. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I think I think when it comes to smart delivery and what this means in comparison to smart delivery, I think we won't really understand the ripples and what the conversation really is until launch. And we see, not even until launch, until the ramp up to launch, where we see, all right, who are the ones taking advantage of each system? If we see on the Xbox side that way more developers are taking advantage of smart delivery because there's something that either makes it easier, or it's something there that is more enticing to developers to take advantage of that, as opposed to this upgrade system on the PS4 to PS5, then I think it becomes a little bit of an issue for the time being, like that launch period, the first couple years. But if it is, I could see a scenario where we look at all the games that are taking advantage of smart delivery, and all of them just go, hey, on the PlayStation 5, we're just cross-buy, right? We're just doing an upgrade system.
Sure.
And I think that, and I think at that point, like the conversation kind of becomes less, the conversation becomes less important in terms of like, all right, what is PlayStation doing in comparison to Xbox? And I think it just becomes a conversation of like, oh, cool, this is awesome. Like we all get our games.
The number one difference here, and again, we don't know for sure, and yada, yada, yada. I won't know until we have a PlayStation 5 under our TV, or they go into details about this. Right now, based on what's happening here and everything else, right? I would say the biggest, I think for so long we talk about smart delivery, oh, it's a buzzword, right? It's just a marketing term. It's yada, yada, yada. The more we talk about it and the more we debate all this shit, and the more it's like, what is it? The thing I love about smart delivery is that it's in the fucking title what the difference is versus PlayStation. It's that your Xbox is smart enough to know what you own and what you have and make it easy. Where I think that it is going to be that you turn on your Xbox One, and your Xbox Series X, and whatever things smart delivery, you go to your thing, they're all just there, they're ready to go. I feel that, and I don't know this, I guess, because technically it wouldn't be like this, but if I was a betting man, I would say, based on what we know now, which isn't anything, that it'll be more complicated for a PlayStation 5 to understand that. If it's going to, I guess that doesn't make sense though, because if it is what I'm saying, that I don't think it's, in a perfect world, you go back, you patch the game for PlayStation 4, you say that there's a PlayStation 5 version, they're cross-buy, they're together, right? I have a feeling that's going to be more difficult knowing the PSN than it won't be, if that makes sense. I'm trying to think of any games, and I know this might be something you have to write into later, Patreon.com, or you can just tweet me, since this isn't me asking for a free question here. But are there any games that have been released and then given cross-buy later? Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like, is there?
That's a very good question. I don't know.
Because that's my thing. I just know how weird the PlayStation is at times, and the PSN is at times. That you're going to be able to. Marvel's PS4 will include a free upgrade to the PlayStation 5 version, right? So, like, when we buy that, theoretically, you would, if it's going to work the way it's worked, when we buy Marvel in September or Avengers, you turn it on, you look at your trophy list. It should say PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 right next to it, and that would, to me, go, oh, okay, they got this. They understand what they're doing. If it doesn't, then I'm like, well, then it's a patch, and then it's a thing. And how do you have to ping the server to let it know? I'm probably overthinking this, and I'm probably underselling, you hope, knock on wood, PlayStation, on how easy this will be. But Xbox has a great messaging of, you just turn it fucking on. It's smart. It knows which one you own and which one will run best for you. Yeah.
I'm curious to see like what that means for, with what you're saying, what that means for trophy and achievements, because the way I see it, I would think that the PS5 is going to have a different trophy list, or not different trophy list, but like the same trophies, but PS5 versions of the trophies, and PS4 versions of the trophies. And I imagine it'll, and I'm not totally educated on like how that worked with cross-buy. I know like there's some games that trophies for all versions, and some other games that don't do that. Like you have to get the trophies individually, and I don't know
thing about
what happens.
I would imagine, I'm trying to think of a better example because I'm just pulling from my own personal experience, right? But my imagination, I would think that if it's the way you're talking about, it would work for a game like Avengers the way it works for DC Universe Online, which DC Universe Online was when I had my PS3 version. When I logged in for the first time on PlayStation 4, it, of course, pinged the DC Universe Online servers, knew I was a character, downloaded I logged into the game as my character I was playing on PS3, but PS4 did have its own trophy list. However, since the game is based on progression online, it just went, oh, he's level whatever, and it just went bing, 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 and gave me all the trophies I had on PS3 onto PS4. They were separate lists, though. Now, that doesn't play as well with the idea because DC Universe Online, of course, is a free-to-play game, so I didn't have to worry about buying this version of it. I just downloaded it like I downloaded it for free on PlayStation 3.
Yeah. And did you carry over your save progress?
Yeah, save progress and everything worked. Yeah.
So I guess
that's the biggest thing about this is like for Marvel's Avengers, for Destiny, for Division, if they do a PlayStation 5 version of it. I think Rainbow Six Siege is confirmed to have a PlayStation 5. All of those have to carry over your save data.
Yeah.
And so,
which would hopefully mean that you're automatically dinging those trophies.
Well, yeah,
if it's a separate list.
Exactly. If it's a separate list, for sure. But then it's also like you do share lists sometimes with games that are cross-buy. So can you add something later to cross-buy? I guess is what I don't know. And you might say, of course you can. And maybe there's an example I'm forgetting.
The thing that's making me curious is they're not calling it cross-buy. Like nowhere here have they actually said cross-buy.
Oh, I know.
Like for both Madden NFL and for Marvel's Avengers, right? Like they're calling it an upgrade system, and that seems to be led more so from on the developer side. And I'm sure like it all happens through conversations with PlayStation and in the store and all that stuff works out. But the way, as I understand this, right? Like, and this is now in comparison with Xbox Series X. In terms of what that means for if you have a PS5 and you buy a game. It seems like if I buy Madden NFL 21 when the PS5 comes out for the PS5, doesn't seem to me like I'll have that for the PS4. Like it seems like that's just going to be a PS5 game to me, which in the overall conversation doesn't matter as much to me because like why am I going to go back and play my PS4 version? But I'm sure there's people that will because maybe people have multiple consoles or people have a console at their grandma's house or something like that. Yeah. I don't know. And so that seems to me to be like a key thing in terms of like the difference. But then also like this disc thing is very interesting in terms of like, and I'm gonna have to like actually read the whole, and I'm not gonna do it now, but go into the Marvel's Avengers article to see how they talk about like disc upgrades. Because am I going to GameSpot, handing somebody my disc, and then getting the PS5 disc? I'm very curious on how that works.
Has there been a PS4/PS3/Vita game that added cross-buy later? Like one version of the game was out, and then months later, another version came, and you got it for free because you already owned the other one. Even writing it out, I'm like, I know this has happened before. I know.
We're in some weeds.
I know.
We're in some weeds right now.
This has happened before, but am blanking.
While you're doing this, I'm just gonna sneak in story number 4. This last one is just a PlayStation update for you. Ghost of Tsushima has gone gold. This is the Twitter or this is the tweet from @SuckerPunchProduction on Twitter, @SuckerPunchProd on Twitter. They tweeted today, "We're thrilled to announce that #Ghost of Tsushima has gone gold. This is the culmination of years of hard work from our team, and we can't wait to get it into your hands on July 17th. Yay. This is awesome. Yay. It's cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice they let this small indie The Last of Us Part 2 have its moment in the sun, but now get out of the way. Here comes real game of the year. Andrew Goldfarb's The Ghost of Tsushima.
It does feel kind of nice now to have Last of Us Part 2 out of the way, and now Ghost of Tsushima now has kind of the runway to breathe a bit. Because now I'm like, having Last of Us Part 2 as that, and I'm calling it an obstacle, but like, I mean that in the most polite way possible. Having Last of Us Part 2 be this obstacle toward Ghost of Tsushima Part 2 has been like, man, I'm really looking forward to Ghost of Tsushima, but I guess like right now, all my energy is on Last of Us Part 2 because it's the biggest game right now, one of the biggest games of the year. But now that's kind of over and done with. I know we're in a position where we played the game early, and so we have more of that runway than people that are playing Last of Us Part 2 right now. But
I think depending on where you are, depending on where you are in PlayStation ecosystem, like it's Last of Us Part 2 right now, and then I'm so stoked for Iron Man, and then it's Ghost of Tsushima. Like you're in a great like 4-week period here of crazy shit hitting.
Did you discover anything else as far as the cross-buy situation? Were you able to add cross-buy later to games? That seems like a thing that's impossible to Google.
Yeah, well, that's why. People are saying they're just saying things, and then it's like, wait, do you understand my question? I said sound shapes, and they go available on all 3. I'm like, no, I know, but did that get? Diablo 3, I stand Ray Navarre I stand Ray
Narvaez
says, yeah, thank you very much. Gosh, it's a little finicky. Luis says Sound Shapes and Resogun for sure. Spelunky did this for sure, says Dylan. Okay. Volume and 2064 are 2 examples. Are they? Because I feel like those games had cross-buy when they launched. Okay.
I'm trying to figure out this disc situation still. It looks like they're not. It
looks like the disc situation. We're just fucked on. You know what I mean? Because it's going to totally be like when PSP Go launched. And there was like, oh man, is there? I have a bunch of UMDs. Can I get those on? There was like these rumors that you're going to be able to take your UMDs to GameStop and they would like do it and send it to your PSN. And that never fucking happened. None of that shit ever happened.
Greg, that's it for the X's and O's.
Nickel and dime. You take all that goddamn money from me. Nobody fucking cares. Blessing, what you been playing?
Oh man, do we not have an ad?
Oh, you want to do the ad here?
I mean, usually we do it after X's and O's before what you're playing.
I mean, like, I just thought maybe we could do whatever we want with the show. You know, I didn't know.
I mean, we can. I was just trying to make sure we
do a little break here at the 1.5 hour mark. I mean, we can do that for you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a word from our sponsor. This episode of PS I Love You XOXO is brought to you by MeUndies. Remember this Pride Month, it's crucial that we take a moment to recognize and remember the intersectionality between pride and the racial injustices that we continue to endure today. This month, through their MeUndies Gives initiative, MeUndies continues to take action to achieve their mission of creating a more thoughtful and accepting world by making $50,000 donations to both It Gets Better Project and Black Lives Matter. They, like MeUndies, are committed to standing up against hate and intolerance and creating a world where hope outshines fear for all people. With MeUndies Gives, simply by shopping MeUndies, you help support the cause. And ladies and gentlemen, of course, we believe in both of these initiatives, and you should support them for that reason alone. But also, most of us only wear MeUndies. I for sure do. I had a whole bunch of different underwear. I got my MeUndies. I threw away the other underwear and ordered more MeUndies. And to this day, I still only wear MeUndies. Of course, they are incredibly comfortable. They have a bunch of cool patterns. They just added a Baby Yoda one the other day I saw. So there's stuff happening over there at MeUndies that you should be a part of. They're soft. They're great. Feel good. Everybody likes them when they see them. And trust me, if you're Greg Miller, you're showing your undies a lot. MeUndies has a great offer for my listeners. Any first-time purchasers can get 15% off and free shipping. You got to give this super softness a try, especially because they have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. To get your 15% off your first order, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/PSILY. That's MeUndies.com/PSILY. Our other sponsor is Purple. Technology has improved just about everything. Phones, cars, shoppings, yet mattresses have more or less been the same since the invention of sleep. But we deserve better, and finally, the mattress has evolved thanks to Purple. The secret of Purple is the Purple Grid. It's a patented comfort technology that instantly adapts to your body's natural shape and sleep style. Purple is for everybody, no matter how you sleep. Purple is designed with over 2,800 open air channels and naturally temperature neutral gel. You'll never sleep too hot or too cold. Our own Tim Gettys uses it, loves it, says it keeps him super cool because it's never getting too hot, which is a huge problem when you're Tim, when you have all that hair. Purple, of course, is the mattress so soft you want it. It is soft where you want it, firm where you need it. It's comfortably cool all over, and it truly is the mattress that does it all. You can count on Purple being there for you every night so you can rest easy. Purple is so confident in what they do that every Purple mattress comes with free shipping and returns and a risk-free 100-night trial. Experience the next evolution of sleep. Go to purple.com/PSILOVEYOU and use the promo code PSILOVEYOU. For a limited time, you'll get $150 off any Purple mattress order of $1,500 or more. That's purple.com/PSILOVEYOU and use the promo code PSILOVEYOU. All right, Blessing, what you been playing?
I've been playing a little bit of that SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. Man, let me tell you.
Is the embargo up on that? Can we talk about reviews?
Yes, reviews popped today, this morning, and
my first impressions went up today too.
Oh yeah, and Bear's first impressions. I don't know if you saw this. GameSpot gave it a 2 2 out of 10.
Oh my god! Fuck you, Barrett.
No, again, and we talked about this a little bit on Games Daily, and I highly disagree with this score because not like most of the reviews are very mixed to average to lower review scores. To me, a 2, the game needs to be broken in some way, shape, or form. And in the sections that I have played, it is not. It is definitely a janky PS2 era game that got remastered that still has charm. But like for it to be a 2, I don't know. That's just such a crazy score. From what I've heard about the multiplayer, though, the multiplayer is fucking garbage, which I'm glad I did not experience for myself, and I'm glad I talked to other people who have experienced it, so I don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, my views kind of line up with a lot of the reviews out there. Like, I think Jonathan Dornbush gave it a 5, which is hilarious because I think he has that game on his fantasy draft, and so that I'm sure that was like a pain. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does, and so I'm sure that was like a painful like, oh man, I have to fuck myself here.
No, I don't think any. I'm not sure if anybody picked the fantasy.
Oh no, he did. He
did. Wow.
Go to hell. Yeah. Right now it's tracking with a 69 on his. That'll knock off his 2 points he earned off Maneater.
Wait, like he has like the game has 69 or
yeah, right now the Open Critic is a 69 on it.
Nice.
For SpongeBob?
Yeah.
That's actually way higher than I thought it was going to be. Based off
that's
the 2 and the 5.
Keep in mind that's right now as it's like open. More reviews could come in and bring that down.
But yeah, I kind of fall in line with Jonathan Dornbush. Like for the few levels that I played of it, it was immediately apparent like the technical issues that exist in that game. So a lot of loading in places that I don't think needed loading at all. Like you jump on the wrong texture and you start you load to respawn and it's like long load screens. That stuff has been very frustrating as I've been playing. Another thing I noticed is that it's very much like a PS2 game. It feels untouched from the PS2 version, which on one side, cool. Like if you're gonna put out a remake of a PS2 game and you want it to reflect that actual true experience, I'm kind of fine with you not touching it, but at the same time playing it, it feels like an archaic PS2 game in so many ways, in ways that, like, for me as somebody who Donkey Kong 64 is one of my favorite games, and that's a game that I will not, I'm not gonna say that game doesn't have issues. Like that game has quite a few issues. But I love it just because it is a relaxing experience for me, and I love the charm there, and I love so much about it. As somebody who likes that type of collectathon platforming game, SpongeBob is one of those, and I think it's an example of one of those that just it plays like it plays very much like a licensed game, in a way that on the PS2 era I think it got love because it's a licensed game, but it's not bad. It's SpongeBob. We love SpongeBob, and it seems to be all right. Playing it today, all that weight brought in with it. It's a different era, and it very much plays like a licensed game where it's like, oh yeah, y'all just really put this thing together. Like there's no rhyme or reason to a lot of where these collectibles are. Like a lot of these enemies are kind of copy and paste. There's a lot of overall there's just technical issues there, and I guess that is more so to the fault of the remaster than even the original game. The thing I will say about it that I have been enjoying is that weirdly for me as somebody who grew up with SpongeBob and for somebody who really likes SpongeBob, it is, and this is my first time playing the game, by the way, because I didn't play the PS2 version.
You missed it when it originally came out?
Yeah, I missed it when it came out on the PS2. I think I played like SpongeBob the movie, but I never played actual Battle for Bikini Bottom, which people would say is the good one. Playing it, there is charm there. Like I am enjoying a lot of the SpongeBob bits, and I am enjoying I guess just the collectathon gameplay loop as kind of badly designed and broken as it is. There's something about it that I'm still like, oh yeah, new level. Oh yeah, I unlocked Sandy. Okay, cool. I got Patrick. Okay, cool. There's this weird ability that I can use. Like there's something about that loop that I think is a bit relaxing, but it's hard for me to want to play this game for more than the few hours that I played it. Like there are better places I can get this
I was wondering at the end in Games Daily post show, I knew you were embargoed, but I was like, what are you gonna play this weekend? And you're like, I played some SpongeBob. I don't know if I'll play anymore. I was like, oh, you were one of the ones excited for this game, weren't you? That's not a good sign.
Again, like I've been saying, like if you're like Blessing and I were, you like the major collectathon 3D platformer stuff, I think it does successfully, in a way, scratch that itch. Being a fan of the game when it came out, it's one of those things where it's like, man, yeah, like this game was really flawed, like, but it was 17 years ago, so we didn't like know any better back then, being kids and fans of SpongeBob, like we didn't fucking know. And so yeah, playing it in a 2020 lens is kind of like it begs the question of like, does really everything like need a remaster? Like, I'm glad that they did it, right? I'm glad that they did it because so many fans were asking for it, and honestly, like they did, like the game is exactly how I remember it originally. So like all they did really was just make it look prettier. And so like all of the design things, like I don't think that's really, like I think they did what they set out to do, which is like, hey, we're just gonna bring this game to the modern consoles and just kind of see how people feel about it.
Yeah.
And I think that way they succeeded. I'm not trying to defend
for sure
like all of the things that I've been able to see as an adult, like playing a few of the levels as well. Like, yeah, there's a lot going on here that's a complete mess, but I'm still enjoying my time with it. It still is satisfying when I get another golden spatula to get closer to unlocking the next level and all that stuff. Like it is not a well-designed collectathon, but it is still a collectathon that scratches the itch. And it is one to the point where like I looked at the trophy list, man, and the trophy list isn't terrible. It's just 100%ing the game, and like the knowing how long that game is, which isn't terribly long. I think I might platinum this to be honest.
Yeah, you're tempting me. You keep tempting me a little bit with that. Like whenever you say it's just 100% thing, and knowing that it's not that long, I'm like, maybe I can use this as an excuse to actually get another platinum. But yeah, I think for me, like the biggest bummer of the game is the technical issues, which for a remaster that is, hey, let's take this game from the PS2 and let's just like make it pretty and not touch it at all. The least I think they could have done is to fix technical issues, because I don't know if it had some of the same stuff, like, you know, like weird collision and weird frame stuff like going on in the original game, but there's stuff in this game where I'm like, why is this in the remaster? Like, why? Like it's almost like when this is a really weird and different example, but it's like when they remaster something like Mega Man and it still has like the frame hitches, but the fans like that because that's what makes the game like.
Yeah, there's no way that you have to play it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, like you have to play it that way because that's the way to play Mega Man. It's almost like that, except to no benefit. It's almost like that where it's like, no, you guys could have gotten rid of like some of the technical issues like that. That wouldn't have been a problem with us. And so, yeah, I'm playing that. I started Hyper Light Drifter because that Solar Ash trailer. I'm very early. So far, it's very difficult in a way that I did not expect. I didn't know this game was going to be hard. It kind of reminds me of, and I know this is probably a tired analogy, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Souls game in terms of you have to be very purposeful with your dashes and your moves, so they don't get murked. And you also have to like heal and stuff like you do actively in a Souls game. So it has quite a few of those elements, and it's so. In the game, you kind of get thrown into the world, and they kind of go hands off, and you kind of go at your own pace and explore how you will, kind of like an old Zelda game. And I'm very lost. I'm very lost. I'm in a part of the game where I'm like, am I supposed to be here? Am I weak? Like, should I go somewhere else? Because I keep getting knocked out like crazy. And so that's kind of how it's going for me. Though I will say that I do like the style and the visuals of it. I think the art of it is really, really, really cool, really, really good. I don't know how to describe it. It kind of reminds me a bit of like this is gonna sound weird, but like a futuristic Shadow of the Colossus kind of thing, where it is like, oh yeah, this is a world of mystery or whatever, and there's like all these relics and different things, but also like, you know, there's magic going on, but the magic feels like it's almost like future magic. It kind of has that kind of vibe to me, which I really dig. And so far from what I can gauge, there's like no dialogue. There's like no text. Like all of the communication between characters is done through like images and like weird symbolic stuff, which I think is also really cool. And so like, you know, I'm at a place where I don't know how much more I'm gonna play it, because if it continues to be this difficult, I don't know if that's just what I'm in the mood for right now. Like if I wanted to play something difficult, I'd probably switch to Bloodborne. And finally finish that. But I will say that like overall as a game, you know, from the first few hours I played, you know, seems pretty cool. You know, I can understand why Andy loves it so much, because it has like some really cool vibes that come with it. And then lastly, I hopped back into Dragon Ball Fighters this last week, just because a friend was like, yeah, I've been playing Dragon Ball Fighters, and I was like, oh really? And I hopped in there, got some matches in, and kind of got re-addicted for a couple days. I fucking love Dragon Ball Fighters. It is arguably like it is one of the best fighting games of this gen, like easily. It is crazy how like while that game runs, how good it looks, how good it feels to play, how accessible it is. For me, as somebody who hasn't played much since like around the launch months, jumping back into it, I was able to get back into the flow pretty easily. I was able to, remember the dash mechanic, which is pretty unique to this game, and remember what the character control schemes are, and like how exactly like the flow of a match works. And I was kind of able to get back to that point of like, oh yeah, I'm back to the point of being or understanding like the language of this game, and being, I guess, fluent in like how to actually like operate in this game in a way that I think is really cool. I think the game is very accessible in that way, and so been enjoying that. There are also new characters that I've not necessarily gotten the chance to try out, but I've been playing against, and so like they added Broly as DLC. Greg, I know you know all about Broly.
Oh, I know all about Broly. He's my favorite bug snake.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, a pun. Fun fact, actually. So there in Dragon Ball Z, there's a race called the Saiyans, right? And that's like Goku, right? Goku, Vegeta. And they go Super Saiyan. Their names are actually puns of vegetables, like weirdly enough to this conversation. And so like Goku's Saiyan name is Kakarot, which is like carrot, Kakarot. Vegeta, gotcha. I guess it's just vegetable now I think about it.
Is this all a marketing scheme from Big Vegetable to get you to eat your vegetables?
I'm sure there's some kind of collaboration with Bug Snacks there that they're trying to go about. But yeah, Broly, I imagine is broccoli, and that is Trunks, and I guess I don't know what Trunks would be. Tree trunk? I don't know.
While we're here, real quick, chunks. That's a disgusting word, right?
Yeah, I hate the word chunks.
Cool.
But also, like, I feel like in a lot of contexts, I also hate chunks in general.
Yeah, gross.
Like when you get like a chunk of something, it's unless it's like. Unless you're eating like a soup and it's like a chunk of like vegetable or something, then it's like all right. But for the most part, a chunk, I never dig a chunk.
Blessing, I consider myself a chunky boy. You don't like me? What's up?
Chunky's different. Chunky's I think is different. A different thing.
I love chunky. I love chunky. Let's be clear. It's just,
do they still make the candy bar chunky?
I don't know. And don't forget Chunky Kong.
Oh my gosh, shut up.
So that's a fair point. Chunky Kong. Greg, what have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot of Minecraft Dungeons. Of course, coming off The Last of Us Part 2. I think I had gotten, or Minecraft Dungeons had released either right before we got the code or right after we got the code. And it'd been one of those. I love a good dungeon crawler. I love Diablo. I've been excited to get into it. And so now with Last of Us off the plate, finally actually jumped into that. I have 58% of the trophies right now. I'm probably... I'd say 3/4 through, if not even closer than that, of completing my second full playthrough of all the levels, because it's like you unlock difficulties, and now there's the last difficulty I need. Once I do this, I have to play through the game again on the hardest difficulty for the platinum or whatever. Just a great game. It's funny. I really, really enjoy it. It's super fun. It's exactly what I'm looking out of that kind of experience, where I can turn it on and have a full blown conversation with Jen and just go and hack at enemies and, dodge roll and use my special abilities or whatever. As you're going through and you're killing all these creatures, obviously you're getting better gear, better equipment. As you level up, you earn enchantment points that you can then apply to your equipment you have whenever it's like Diablo. So you're picking up better loot all the time, or any kind of looter shooter, I guess. And when you find the new, I'm using daggers for the most part. So when I find another set of daggers that are better, I just, salvage my old daggers, and it gives me back all the enchantment points I had invested in it. So I can put them into the new daggers, which is great. It's that perfect mindless to an extent thing of, I'm sitting there and I'm listening to a podcast, or I'm talking to Jen, or I'm putting on, chill beats to vibe to or whatever. And I'm just running through and playing it. And then I played with Joey and Lauren the other night. And then Joey played with me on the charity stream for St. Jude, where we just did 3.5 hours of Minecraft Dungeons. And it was a blast. They fuck up a lot of little things that I find interesting, where like, when I logged on and Joey and Lauren were playing, I went and joined their game, and our friend Lewis joined on me, and we got in there and immediately, like, with their gear or something, or however the balancing worked, and there is no balancing, I guess is the problem. Like, their numbers for attack are like, I think Joey at the time was like level 50 and I was like level 20. And so it was just like I was doing no damage. Everything was fucking owning me to the point that I just quit. And then I quit and then they came and joined me and then they're doing more damage than all the enemies. And just like, the reason I beat my first playthrough so quickly is because I played with them and we just like crushed. And so it's a weird thing. I feel like in the age of, Division 2 and its scaling, in the age of how Borderlands scales and gives you your own loot drops, it's weird that that's something that they didn't think of on this, that there's no easy way to have it scale, or whatever level you are, you're facing enemies or your size, right? And I know to an extent, if you haven't played it, when you go in to a mission, you can choose the difficulty and it shows you like your power, the recommended power for what's going on, your power, and then your team power, so like you can see how the whole team matches up. But it's still a weird way to do it that I just don't think works. And I think the other way would have been better. And then on top of that, I noticed early on, but then Joey and Lauren don't play like me. One of the big parts of these kind of games is, all right, the objectives are over there, but you look at the map, that you bring up on screen and there's like a hallway this way. Let's go see what's down it. 9 times out of 10, there's nothing in these hallways. Occasionally you'll run into a chest. Usually you just run into more creatures to beat up for XP, which makes sense, I guess. But if you're already making me replay the levels over and over again, like why would I be looking for more enemies to fight in the level I'm in instead of just knocking it out and doing it the normal way? I think they have an issue there, but the gameplay is super fun. I think it's, a great game to play with other people. I think it's a great game to play by yourself. I think it works in a million different ways. I think, it's just little things like balancing and making the maps more enjoyable to explore that would have gone a long way. But there's a challenge there. There's a lot of cool different weapons. You know what I mean? I'm firing firework arrows that are doing giant AoE attacks. There's different kind of enemies. Lauren was running a different kind of build. Like there's a whole bunch of really cool stuff they have going on under the hood there that I enjoyed quite a bit. And continue to, I should say, because I do plan on platinuming it. And then from there, it's kind of some boring stuff. Predator, I keep playing. You Blessing in particular, are the weak link and have fallen off and don't want to play anymore. So it kind of screws up the balancing of getting everybody in, and then everybody got Last of Us. So for the first time ever, I started just rolling and playing a solo, and I was just jumping in and being the Predator. And there's that moment, of like, I'm a good Predator when we play together. And you've seen my skills. You know the skills.
Oh, yeah. You're great.
And I think overall, the group we play with, the 5 people we usually play with, whether it's Yumi, Fran, Nick, Andy, that's usually the squad, right? But we cycle in some people here and there. We're all pretty evenly matched, and you'll have your good game, you'll have your bad game, but you're usually in the same ballpark. But I know that we all have some skills. Jumping into random games as the Predator and having just a random fire team hunt me, it was that thing of like, this is it. How good at this game am I? And then by association, how good are you guys, right? Since we all play together. Let me tell you, Blessing, we are really fucking good at Predator hunting.
Really?
Because I went in there and don't get me wrong, I have lost, obviously. But like, I would say I probably did over the weekend 10, maybe 7 to 10 matches, and most of them I just fucking dominated.
Damn.
Like didn't even die. There was one where the kids, they were really good and they destroyed me, and then there was another one where I had the hollow victory where 2 of them got away and I blew them up with the self-destruct. Mm-hmm. But the other ones were full on. I just killed everybody and ripped out their skulls, and I was doing it quickly. They had no idea what they were fucking dealing with.
How do we organize some kind of funny esports team that is Predator focused?
That's a great question. You know what I mean? That's a great question, how we do that. I think we would have to start our own tournament where one person would have to be Predator all the time, and I can't volunteer as tribute. But then, you know what? No, it would be, okay, so here, esports, I like where your head's at. We get our different teams. So we get a whole bunch of people that get together, their team of 4 fire team members. And then, you have, so it's just a team. We need to be in the kind of funny Predator hunting ground esports tournament. You need 4 people. Then when it's your turn to be the Predator, you guys get to pick one Predator you want to be hunting or be hunted, however you want to describe that, right? So it's the 4 people playing versus one team's Predator. And now the problem will be point scoring. I'm not smart enough to come up with that, but we can figure it out, Bless. We can come up with that.
We can figure it out.
Because we can be cleaning up right now.
How do we make this a thing at the studio launch party when we finally are able to leave our house?
The studio launch party in 2023 when the CDC's cleared gatherings of more than 100 people.
Exactly. How do we organize like a wide community wide in person Predator hunting grounds? Play against kind of funny. Let's see if you got the stuff.
At that point, then what we would do is we would do the Predator hunting grounds esport league tournament, whatever you want to do. and then we'd have to get it down to having the finals there. And maybe it isn't even that. Maybe, throughout the ranks, whoever wins, well, we'd want to be in it though, right? If we don't win, if it comes down to we're in the championship match is at the launch party. If it comes down that we didn't make it to the end, then the champions come and they play us.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah,
I really like it. Yeah.
There's something there too. Outside of that, I did the normal thing I occasionally do, which is like, you can see me hopping around a bunch because once you have the woe is me, the yoke of a review off your back, you kind of like get into this weird mood. I had a mood after I beat Last of Us Part 2 that I wanted to give No Man's Sky another shot, and so I re-downloaded No Man's Sky, started up No Man's Sky again. Saw this happen I think last year, maybe. Yeah, last year with that Beyond expansion. Is that what they called it? Or Next, whichever one one was last year with the VR expansion.
It was both Next and Beyond.
I think Beyond's the most recent, so I think I'm talking about Next, but I could be wrong. But when they added PlayStation VR to it. And I turned it on, saw that save, and I was like, oh man, I only played like 3 hours. Well, what happened? Started playing this game, and then sure as shit, like 3 hours in, it really gets into like building your base and powering your portals and all this stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, like I'm just not into this. I want to explore. I don't want to be tethered to this kind of stuff. And so I just turned it off and never went back.
Yeah, I had the exact same thing happen to me whenever that update was, that first one that was like the big overhaul update. Like I jumped in and I was like, oh cool, like No Man's Sky looks awesome. I'd never played it. It's been a game that's always kind of appealed to me from the sense of that first reveal always looked awesome from the VGXs. And the more and more we learned about it, the more and more I was like, okay, cool, yeah, like all these quintillion planets, dope, I'm in. And when it came out, it was just one of those things where I saw the reviews and was like, good, not for me. And then it was that next update, I believe, where I was like, all right, cool, let's jump in, let's see what it's about. And I got probably 3 hours in before I was like, this is not my jam, this is not a game for me. I understand what this is, I understand why people like this, not for me.
Yeah, but it was fun. And again, it's the same thing, beautiful and cool to play, but it was like, all right, cool. It cleansed my palate, I think, after the brutality of Last of Us Part 2, and then I was on to ripping out skulls.
Did you do VR?
No, I didn't. No, I did it at that demo, you know what I mean? And I liked it a lot there, but it's the same thing of just like VR for me is, and I love VR, right? I still do Quest and work out with Supernatural, not every other morning even. I'm trying to work out, at least do something, right? And so some days it's that, some days it's other things. But it's like that thing of just like when I'm starting to wind down for game time at night, like usually Jen and Porty are hanging out with me, so I don't want to just be like, all right, see you guys later. And just gone. You know what I mean? Be a zombie next to them. And then at that point when they do go to bed, it's like, well, I don't want to like drag all this crap out of the way. And usually me and Nick want to go be Dutch apple pie and kill somebody in Predator. So that's how that shakes out.
By the way, I found I talked earlier about pets, which is port everything to Switch. I found a tweet from the homie, I'm not gonna pronounce their name right, Wakas Kaimkani. And they tweeted at me. This is from June 3rd. They tweeted. First of all, they corrected me. They're like, "Oh yeah, pets is port everything to Switch," with a happy face. Which, thank you, Wakas. He then said that a good idea for the PlayStation 1 could be Pops, port onto PlayStation. Pops.
Okay.
So that's what I'm.
PSP kind of works though.
I don't think you.
While we're calling out people who give good tweets, while we were live, I tweeted it like, what is give me a crossplay that I'm thinking of that has happened with a distance. And you gave me names, but not time windows, except for Caleb Hurley, who said, my tweet didn't send, but in case no one else said it, Ratchet & Clank Trilogy. It launched on Vita 2 years after the PS3, and you got it for free if you had the PS3 version digitally. Great example. So you can easily, in quotes, add to crossplay. No, cross-buy, sorry. So hopefully there'd be hope for PlayStation 5. Then Blessing, as we transition into 104 PSN games ranked, I played Pong Quest finally, and I didn't get. If Pong Quest came out to PlayStation 4 after dodging me, I jumped in. I downloaded it, but we've been so caught up. We, of course, if you didn't know, each week we're going through what was the drop, now just a list of games on the PlayStation blog. Blessing and I each pick a game. We go and play it. We come back and basically preview it and then rank it in one giant list of what we've played this year off of these PSN games and what we think of them, right? Pong Quest, I remember when we read about it initially, I liked Pong enough, but it was this Pong RPG kind of thing. Like, what exactly is going on with it? It's really cute. It's actually a really cool idea. And it ran fine on PlayStation 4. But the idea is that, you start the game, you're this Pong paddle hopping through this like kingdom. There's a king who gives you a task. You get to dress yourself, and there's all these different customizable things to put on it. And then you go into dungeons. You go into dungeons, right? And it kind of looks like What's the game I liked where I was the merchant and I can never remember the name of it?
Oh, I know what game you're talking about. It's on Switch. It's a pixelated indie game.
They just put out DLC for it. Fuck.
God, I know what game you're talking about. What?
Moonlighter. You go into dungeons a la Moonlighter there, and there's things to fight or whatever. But when you run up to fight them, you go into Pong games with them. And they're the other paddle, and you're the paddle, and you guys go back and forth, and you hit a ball back and forth a la Pong. As you hit them with the ball, and they hit you with the ball, you know whoever's getting hit loses a hit point, and eventually when it gets down to critical, that's when you have to get the ball past them to beat them. As you go through and do all this, you're opening up treasure chests and getting special balls like curve balls or mega balls or all sorts of different stuff like that you can then choose to bring in and use to fight against them that way. And so totally goofy, a weird idea of like, let's make a dungeon crawling Pong game or whatever, but it works and it was cute and it was fun. And like, I didn't play it for too long at all because of everything else that was going on, but I enjoyed myself. The fact that it didn't come when it was supposed to, I was like, oh, is it going to have problems? Is it going to be this? Again, for the 30 minutes I played of it, I thought it was a cute idea. And it was definitely, as somebody who likes Pong, an interesting way to play Pong finally.
That's really cool.
So, Blessing, I need to toss it on the list, obviously. Right now, the top 10 is Telling Lies, John Wick Hex, Streets of Rage 4, Under Night in Birth, Hunt Down. Number 6 is Round Guard. Number 7 is Darwin Project. Number 8 is Hidden Through Time. Number 9 is Kamiko. Number 10 is Foxyland 2. Remember, these are just glancing previews we do. The list has over 41 games on it. Or I guess 41 games on it. You can go to kindoffunny.com/104 list to see the entire thing. And then, where to drop in Pong Quest.
I will say, every time you read through the list and you get to Darwin Project, I hurt a little because that game, it's no, but like it's dead now. Like it's a dead game, or not dead yet. It dies at the end of the year, but very quickly after the PlayStation release of that game, they were like, "Hey guys, you can't support it anymore. It's just not a success."
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, my heart breaks for it because it was a good game.
I'm dropping Pong Quest at number 12. That means it's beneath the snaky bus, but above Deliver Us the Moon. Again, a fun thing. It's Pong. It's a goofy little idea. And that's the thing, is it's a goofy little idea. I don't know if I would go back and play it for more hours, but I enjoyed the idea of it, kind of thing. Now, Blessing, the thing about it is we are way off track because we had to focus on Last of Us review. We did one of the shows out of order. So we're way behind on how many we're going to do. So we need to figure that out. But rather than try to crack that code now, I say we pick next week's games and then down the line figure out where we're adding more PlayStation games to play.
All right, that sounds good to me.
Maybe when we actually net it all out, we'll go through and be like, all right, this is how we have to actually figure this out. Yeah. So for the first time, because we haven't done this segment in so long, it is the fact that, yes, the PlayStation blog combined all the territories into one and did away with the drop. So rather than give you the drop now where it describes the games, Justin tells you what's coming up this week on PlayStation, obviously releasing tomorrow, in every territory and just lists the games by name. So now, more than ever, it is a blind pool of what the fuck we're going to pick and what we end up with, which I kind of dig.
There's no screenshots, no description. We're just like looking at names and just going.
So here we go. This is your list of games this week. Assetto Corsa Competizione. PlayStation 4 out June 23rd. Bounty Battle.
I'm sure you might know what Assetto Corsa is, but what do you think it is? If you don't know?
I have no idea.
Really, you don't know what Assetto Corsa is?
It sounds like car racing.
It is car
racing.
Like
Italian car racing.
Yeah, I remember seeing it on the PlayStation Store like earlier in the PS4 cycle. I think the game was just called Assetto Corsa, and it always looked like a fancy driving game, and I was always curious about it. And I looked up gameplay, and I was like, oh. This isn't as fancy as it sounds.
Of course, there's rules if you're just joining us for this. The idea is that we can't pick the same game. We can't pick something that's AAA, and we can't pick something we were going to play anyway. So, like, I could put, like, Minecraft Dungeons in there, but I can't because, of course, I was going to play that no matter what. So, I'm sorry. Let's get back to the list here. So, then it's Bounty Battle, PlayStation 4. That's EU only, though. Coaster, PlayStation 4. America's only. Conan Chop Chop on PlayStation 4 says EU only.
What are they doing in Europe?
I would have picked Conan Chop Chop, no problem. Covert, PlayStation 4, EU only. Firefighters, Airport Heroes on PlayStation 4 in the Americas only. Hunting Simulator 2, EU only. Jump Step Step, EU only. That's PlayStation 4. In fact, all these are PlayStation 4. I'll tell you if it's otherwise. Indie-apocalypse, like in Apocalypse, Indie-calypse. America's only. Little Town Hero, America's only. Mad Runner, America's only. Octonaut on PlayStation, June 23rd, America, June 24th, EU. Pancake House, PlayStation 4, EU only. Paw, it's Paw Arumium, right? PlayStation 4, EU. I think it already came out here in America. Party Pumper, EU only. Pushy and Pulley in Blockland, June 24th, America, June 26th, EU. Rugby Challenge 4, EU only. SpongeBob SquarePants, which we want to pick. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, PlayStation 4. Super Toy Cars 2. A summer with the Shiba Inu. Tower of Time Ultra Core. Tower of Time, America on the 23rd, EU 24th. Ultra Core, 23rd in America, 26th in the EU. Blessing. The way we decide who picks first, of course, is what number it is. I do odds, you do evens. This, of course, is episode 25, meaning that I get to pick.
Now, are you familiar with Little Town Hero?
No.
It's developed by Game Freak.
Who's Game Freak?
Game Freak is like the Pokemon, like they developed the Pokemon games. It used to be called Town when it was first revealed during like a Switch, during a direct. And It's basically like this cute RPG. I don't know the exact mechanics because I started playing it and I think it came out last fall and I think I just got like sidetracked. But it's a game that I've always kind of wanted to come back to. It seems like a really cool game, but it didn't really get much talk when it came out.
Well, great for you. I wasn't going to pick that anyway. For me, I tell you right now, I would have been a slam dunk. I would have gone Pancake House, but that's EU only. So then I feel like I'm left with Firefighters, Airport Heroes, or A Summer with the Shiba Inu. And I got to tell you, I'm going to have a summer with the Shiba Inu.
Dude, have a great summer. Are we not? So wait, is Star Wars Episode 1 Racer? Does that count as AAA or no?
I don't think it counts as AAA. No, it's a re-release of an N64 game, right?
Then I'm going Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Like I was gonna, that's a game I'm definitely gonna play for this segment. I was between that, Little Town Hero and Pushy and Pulley in Blockland because I think if I remember correctly, Pushy and Pulley in Blockland is another game that was in like the Nintendo Directs. That was like a fun little puzzle game. If it's the one I'm thinking of as I search it as I'm talking about it. Oh no, this is definitely a different game. I've not heard of this game, but it looks interesting. Yeah, I'm going Episode 1 Racer.
If you want to toss, I sent you a YouTube link there to.
It's going to take me a second just because I can't. I don't have Slack easily available. So don't
worry about it. The Summer with the Shiba Inu is a visual novel where it looks like Shiba Inu runs an inn and has other Shiba Inus come stay at his house. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Let me tell you.
That actually sounds very exciting.
That's going to be a good one right there, ladies and gentlemen.
I got it coming up.
Okay, it's coming up. While you do that, Big Daddy Barrett Courtney, I do want to check in on the PS I Love You XOXO Fantasy Critic League. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can go and keep up with everything that's happening there at kindafunny.com/PS League. The idea is we invited some of our industry friends over months ago now. We did a draft where we picked a fantasy slate of games, and now based on how those games do on Open Critic, we get points or lose points depending on it. It's for every point above 70, you get +1. For every point below, you get -1. Right now, I bring it up, of course, because there is a new number one team on the block, everybody.
Whoa.
And it's Portillo Publishing LLC. That's right, me, Greg Miller. I have taken the lead right now with 41 points. You might say, how did that happen? It's because The Last of Us Part 2 I took with the number one pick, and currently that has earned me 31 points. It has 95 on Open Critic right now. So what I said earlier about how the rating scale happens doesn't make any fucking sense. I don't understand what I just did, but don't worry about it. So I have 31 points off Last of Us Part 2. Then Minecraft Dungeons has a 72, which got me 2 points. Bloodroots got a 78, which gave me 8 points, bringing me to first place with 41 points. Behind me, though, is Big Belly Games. That's Gio Corsi from Ilphonic now. Doom Eternal got him 19 points. Resident Evil 3 got him 9 points. He still has Marvel's Avengers this year. Predator Hunting Grounds lost Gio 13 points. Streets of Rage 4 got him 15. And then Ghostwire Tokyo, of course, is still on his docket as well. Behind him is Callie over at GameSpot. She has 18 points off of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and that's it, leaving her at 18 right now. She has Skull and Bones 2, which will not get her any points because it will not release this year, according to them. She also has Yakuza Like a Dragon, Persona 5 Scramble, Godfall, and Rainbow Six Quarantine, which will be interesting to see if they release that this year. Behind her is Blessing Adeoye. Wait, I'm feeling like I'm skipping Dornbush. No, he is at the bottom list. Okay. Behind him is Blessing Adeoye Jr. with Rapstar Games. Currently, you have 15 points with Neo. You have 0 points with Guilty Gear Strive because that's not going to come out, they say, this year. However,
I'm very excited about my list.
You have a huge roster. You have Cyberpunk 2077, Iron Man VR, Neo 2, I already said. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, Tales of Arise, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, Call of Duty 2020, Babylon's Fall, Mortar Shell, Ghost Runner, and Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yeah,
Remember,
man.
of course, you spent how much on Miles Morales to get him on your team?
I want to say like $98. I spent pretty much all my money except for $1.
That's the thing right now, because we can bid on games, right? You, me, and Dornbush are the only ones paying attention, which I love. You have $1 left in your budget. Dornbush has 75, and I have 98 because I lost out on a bunch of stuff. So I'll let you know. I put some picks out there. Tonight they do this. So actually by tomorrow when you get this episode, check in to see what happened, to see if Dornbush screwed me over, if Blessing came up with a $1 bid to get me. I didn't bring it up. My list still has these available. Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines 2, Carrion, and then Outriders. But I'm hoping to add a few more tonight. We'll see what happens.
Oh,
and then
you made some bids? You made a few bids
out there. Yeah, I made a few bids. I'll tell you if you don't tell Dornbush.
Oh, and yeah, I will not.
People watching live, don't fuck me. All right, don't fuck me, YouTube. Right now, I have bids on for Kenna, Bridge of Spirits, Jet, The Far Shore.
Smart.
Even though we talk shit about it today, Bug Snacks, and we didn't talk shit, but it's like, how's that really going to review? I don't know, but I think with you on the sidelines with $1, I feel like I can make some picks here. And then we talked about it. I did make a move on Star Wars Squadron, so we'll see what happens.
Oh, dude, I was thinking really hard actually about Jet, The Far Shore, because that game is like a mystery to me. But coming from the Super Brothers, like, they're known for quality, and so who knows?
Now, chat, be cool. Like I said, don't fuck me over.
Be cool, chat. Also, chat, don't give Greg any more ideas.
Dornbush's thing has right now. Maneater got him 2 points. SpongeBob he has as well at 69. That's not enough reviews are going to give him any points on that. However, he also has Ghost of Tsushima, Watch Dogs Legions, unannounced Batman WB Montreal game, Spelunky 2, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Psychonauts 2, Little Nightmares 2, The Pathless, Destroy All Humans, and Deathloop. So he's got some stuff in there still, some bangers.
Yeah.
It's going to get interesting as this continues out throughout the year.
If Cyberpunk gets delayed to 2021, I will be very upset about this draft, because that is like my number one contender right now for me catching up with you with The Last of Us Part 2.
Well, I think you have enough on your list that I'm more worried about catching up to you. This is a marathon and not a sprint. You know what I mean? And I think right now I'm all right, cool. I'm in first place, but that could change so quickly. Like, 31 points from Last of Us is huge, but you have, like you said, Cyberpunk. You have Spider-Man. Both those, I think, are going to do. I mean, being generous, 85, no problem. 85 and 85 on OpenCritic, no problem. I would definitely think higher. I think if Iron Man VR holds to the quality the demo had, I think you're going to be fine too. Like, I would say that's. You're OpenCritic and a million other people talking about it. 75 is what I would think based on that demo. Maybe even if it's better than the demo, an 80. But the problem then is, like, what if it doesn't live up to that demo they did? What if also, it's also the thing of what works to your advantage is I think only VR people will review that, really. Yeah, IGN and GameSpot will. Not that they're not VR people. I'm not trying to throw shade, but I think you'll have more enthusiast outlets do that, which might give it more like, hey, for VR, I understand what I'm working with and why this goes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a very good point.
We'll see. Blessing, let's check in for trophies and chill, plus a PlayStation Network profile. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can write in to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames with questions and your PSN name for judgment. Today, Mizuki did. Mizuki wrote into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames and says, Greg, it's finally happened. The Platinum Trophy has bit me. I had not been a part of the PS3 generation. In fact, I didn't buy one until 2016 to play the Tales games. And I got into the PlayStation 4 generation late. I had never tried to get a platinum until I played God of War last year. Loved the game enough that I wanted to do the Valkyrie fights, and by that point, I was so close to the trophy I had to. Now, every game I pick up, I weigh whether I'm going to get the platinum or not. I'm currently at a modest 6 platinums, with the 7th for Telltale Batman coming soon. I'm looking for other Platinum Trophy suggestions for games that aren't JRPG game length. Hope you can help. Mizuki13. Taking him over then to psnprofiles.com/Mizuki13. We can see what's going on. Right now,
Right.
Mizuki is playing The Last of Us Part 2. I'm sorry, yeah?
Actually, no, go ahead. Actually, you're going to get here in a second.
Last of Us Part 2 is what you're playing right now, Mizuki. As of this, you have 7 of 26 trophies. I decree that needs to be your next Platinum trophy. Last of Us Part 2, a very enjoyable Platinum. 2 playthroughs and then a bunch of cleanup, and you'll be fine. But do that. You are working on Batman behind that. And then Platinums, let's get into it here. You got Concrete Genie, I see here. Hell yeah.
Yes. Then that was actually the one I was going to point out. Is the Concrete Genie Platinum easy? Because I'm looking at like the percentage of people that have it. And it seems like it's like a 12.6% of people who played it have the Platinum. And it also looks like he got it in like a day, which is piqued my interest.
2 hours. Yeah, no, the Concrete Genie one is I thought, as I talked about it in the review and stuff, right? I think not a perfect game, but like it's a perfect feeling. Like that's one of the few games that when I beat it, I was sad that I beat it. Like I know I platinumed it. I was sad that I platinumed it because I wanted to be in that world more. It is chasing down notebook pages and figuring out puzzles and stuff, but they do such a good job of listing their collectibles that it's really easy to be like, I don't understand where this one page is, and you go find out where it is and go get it.
I might dive into that. That feels like it could,
awesome.
It feels like it because I've been meaning to get to it forever. I like started in the fall and was again like this last fall for games was kind of wild, and so I bounced in and bounced out of a lot of stuff. And this seems like it could be like the perfect game for like that palate cleanser between Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that'd be a great one for you.
Yeah.
So Platinums right now, you have our Concrete Genie, Psychonauts, Marvel's Spider-Man, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and God of War. This is a dynamite trophy list for if you're just doing Platinums. Very good, Mizuki. I'm proud of you on that one. I would say Last of Us Part 2, though, needs to be your next one for sure. And it's not that long, especially when you're going to go through and have beaten it already. And I'm scrolling back. Oh, man, you got 44 of the Death Stranding trophies. Death Stranding is a chunk of change in time, though. Don't worry. I'm just checking out that.
I respect the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, totally. 100%.
That's one that I really thought about getting, but playing that game on hard mode was just beyond me. And so I really respect somebody who's able to commit and actually push through and get it.
Yeah, I'd say buckle down, get that Last of Us Part 2. That's a good one to go for.
Also, Nier Automata. Like I see here that that Mizuki played Nier Automata and got 32 out of 48 trophies. And I don't know how easy the platinum in Nier Automata is. I know that at a certain point you can like pay for trophies, but I also think they're super expensive. So I don't know if most people do that or not.
Yeah.
But Nier Automata, very good game. I'm assuming if you got 32 of the trophies, you really like that game. Nier Automata, hey, like go for it is what I'd say.
Okay, there you go. Those are our picks for you, Mizuki. Thank you for caring, and thank you for submitting your PlayStation Network profile. If you want to be like Mizuki, of course, patreon.com/kindafunnygames. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been PS I Love You XOXO episode 25. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, you can watch us record it live on patreon.com/kindafunnygames. You can get it with the post show. You can get it ad free. You can have a great time. If you have no bucks toss our way, it's no big deal. You can go to youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and podcast services around the globe each and every Tuesday morning to get the show hot and fresh. Now, blessing Adeoye Jr. A couple weeks ago, you did something unheard of, and you brought back a segment called Singin to Shuhei. If you remember, in volume 1 of PS I Love You XOXO, we had you, the audience, send in a song. We would put it at the end of the MP3. We didn't put it at the end of the YouTube video because it can cause a lot of problems for us with copyrights and stuff like that. However, you brought it back a couple weeks ago, and then we were like, we'll do it on not even special occasions, when the mood strikes, when we have something good there, right? We got a letter from an artist. That's right. An artist that I wanted to read here and then play his song. Hey, I'm Sean James, a soulful blues and folk musician from Chicago. You're about to hear Through the Valley, a song I wrote years ago that was used in the original reveal trailer for The Last of Us Part 2. That one we were talking about earlier, right? Where Ellie is sitting there playing, talking about walk through the valley, right? Mm-hmm. Sean James wrote that, it turns out. And then Ellie recorded it for that thing. That I wrote in the original reveal trailer for Last of Us Part 2. I'm honored to not only have that song featured in The Last of Us 2, but also for having the opportunity to craft Ellie's lyrics for a song she's writing throughout the game. I had beaten The Last of Us Part 2 twice. And then Sean, we got connected through a friend of ours from IGN or ex-IGN. And when he was talking to me about it and telling me what it was, I remember, if you open Ellie's journal, this is not a spoiler, you see her working on a song and crossing stuff out and putting things in. It turns out that, yeah, Sean James here, of course, the man who wrote Through the Valley, worked with Naughty Dog to write those lyrics as well, which I thought was just a really cool thing.
That's really awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Good for you, Sean.
Good job, Sean. We appreciate you, and I'm glad it was really interesting the way life brought us together on that one of like, oh yeah, like this is, like you'd brought it up, you'd thought about it, all these different things of bringing it back, and then there it was. So what is happening, knock on wood, we are taking a risk, we are taking a leap of faith here. If you are watching on YouTube, we are actually going to play the video here on the one. You don't have to click anywhere else. Apparently, we're going to be whitelisted, so we won't be copyrighted striked and all that other jazz. But if you see it uploaded without it, that's what happened. And then if you're the MP3, you'll hear it no problem. So ladies and gentlemen, this has been PS I Love You, XOXO. Unless you're sticking around for the post show, thank you for being the Patreon. Again, you already know where to get it. You already know what to do it. So instead, to play us out, here's Sean James with Through the Valley.
I walk through the valley under the shadow of death, and I feel no evil because I'm blind to it all. In my mind and my gun, they comfort me because I know I'll kill my enemies when they come. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell on this earth forevermore. Said I walk beside the still waters and restore my soul, but I can't walk on the path of the right, 'cause I'm rolling. Well, I came upon a man at the top of a hill. He called himself the savior of the human race. Said, come to save the world from destruction and pain. I said, how can you save the world from itself? my soul leaves dead.